Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Marvel. I can download unlimited talents. Chapter 41. Take advantage of the chaos to find the greatest improvement for yourself. But Li Te had an idea. He already has enough balance in his hand to download another superhero power. The most recommended candidate is Iron Man. It's just that with his current qualifications, it's difficult to meet Iron Man. In the plot, it was Coulson who went to find Iron Man. So you can start with him. It's just that he immediately denied it when he thought about it. This matter cannot be rushed. If you are too active, you will arouse suspicion. Li Te thought this way. Now is not the time for him to show off. Before he has the strength to crush everything, he needs to be careful about many things. Then Li Te returned to the base. The Avengers base is still not the same as before. The big difference is, except that there are more and more agents, everything is normal. What happened at Hill is the top secret of S.H.I.E.L.D., and not many people know about it. But it will soon be different. What happened tonight, it will make the entire S.H.I.E.L.D. turbulent. At this time, Li Te stood on the second floor of the Avengers base, his eyes were dull. He just waited for everything quietly. Hey Li, long time no see. Black Bill came and stood in front of Li Te. Li Te greeted the latter without saying much. Nothing happened recently, but why do I have a bad feeling? The black man Bill stood next to Li Te and expressed his premonition. Li Te looked at Bill with slight surprise and shook his head. The top management of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been taking a lot of actions recently, and people from all sides have taken actions. As long as being in S.H.I.E.L.D., that's pretty obvious. No one cares. Maybe something big will happen. Li Te said undeniably. Dee dee. At this moment, a piercing siren sounded. All the agents in the Avengers base stood there, a little at a loss. Since the Avengers base was established, no alarms have sounded. But in today, suddenly it rang. What is going on? Isn't this an alarm that only sounds for major events? A friend of mine said that an unusual incident occurred in one of our secret bases. Unusual time, what is that? The dozens of agents present looked confused and didn't know what was going on. But the sirens continued to sound. Everyone gather. At this time, a voice sounded, and it was Zoe. He walked out of the office quickly, with an anxious look on his face. Li, you work with me to recruit people, the sooner the better. Zoe saw Li Te on the second floor and said directly. Now in the Avengers base, the highest ranking agent is the 7th level agent. As a 6th level agent, Li Te is also considered a high level agent in today's base. Okay, Bill, you should contact the logistics department immediately and ask them to send out as many helicopters as they have. At this moment, Li Te's heart was shocked, and he gave the order directly. The siren sounded, which meant that the Avengers base had entered an emergency state at this time. In an emergency state, the higher the level of the agent, the higher the authority. Yes, Black Bill looked at the flashing red warning lights and foreshadowed the seriousness of the incident. He immediately carried out Li Te's order and began to mobilize helicopters. Everyone, and I mean everyone, gather at the heliport. Li Te said. The panicked agents immediately calmed down. Yes, Mr. Bruce. His order went down, and all the agents in the Avengers base began to gather at this moment. Zoe entered the command room and began to execute all emergency matters. The originally peaceful Avengers base was mobilized at this time. The agents are well trained and their execution ability is very high. In less than 10 minutes, all emergency measures were prepared. A total of hundreds of agents gathered on the heliport of the Avengers base. At this time, in the base, there are a total of 5 7th level agents and 10 6th level agents. These senior agents are standing in front one by one. At this moment, they are facing a huge problem. That is, there are no higher level agents here. These more than 100 people who will direct. Let Li do it. At this time, Zoe recommended Li. I agree. These agents had lost to Li Te in the trial. Li Te, who was standing in front, nodded slightly, although he knew it was useless. It would take at least 20 minutes to reach that place at this speed. But no matter what, he must make a decision. At least, he must join Coulson. Okay, Zoe, tell everyone. Li Te said, asking Zoe to tell her all the information she received. Zoe did not hesitate. He stood up directly with a very solemn look in his eyes. I will only explain one situation now. One of our secret bases was attacked. The enemy was a man who claimed to be from the Asgard domain. Moreover, Hawkeye rebelled for some unknown reason. When this sentence came out, everyone present was shocked. Asgard God's domain. Hawkeye's betrayal. This was something unbelievable to them. But Zoe ignored their shock and said again, "Now Director Fury is facing the final enemy, and Mr. Coulson is adding reinforcements. We must act immediately. Keep your spirits up. The enemy we face this time is very extraordinary." Zoe looked at everyone and said directly. Then, he looked at Li Tae. Now Li Tae is the temporary commander elected by them. Everything in Xianzai needs Li Tae to make decisions. Zoe, you bring 70 people to reinforce the director. If there is no helicopter, use all available means of transportation. They must arrive as soon as possible. I will cooperate with Mr. Coulson and the others. Now, act immediately. Li Tae didn't hesitate at all, and directly issued the order to divide the troops into 2 groups. He knew that there was no result in doing so, but he could at least reach Coulson's side. That was enough. Your seer, everyone said in unison and took action immediately. Li Tae only brought 10 people with him, all of whom were level 4 and level 5 agents. There were other elites who he arranged to reinforce Nick Fury. Everyone set off, with Li Tae as the commander and 10 people with 2 helicopters. Their purpose was to join Coulson, while the others stayed at the Avengers base. Soon, the helicopter started. Because the secret base had already reported their location, they headed directly towards their destination. At this time, in a place in New York, the entire land collapsed in large areas, and countless civilians screamed. The ground was covered with debris and police, and firefighters were rushing to evacuate the crowd. In the dark night sky, 3 or 4 helicopters continued to pursue. Behind a car, a long-haired man wearing a green robe looked extremely evil. But his body revealed a terrifying power. This kind of power does not belong to the earth at all. Even if there are all kinds of bullets and bullets around, there is no way to hurt him in the slightest. It seemed that his body was invulnerable. In his hand, there was a blue energy stone inlaid on a spear. On the energy stone, there is a heart-stopping power emerging, shining with dazzling light. And behind him, there were 3 or 4 cars following him. Dr. Eric Sevig and Hawkeye were sitting in the car. They looked calm and had a strange brilliance in their eyes. It was obvious that the 2 of them and the people in the car were controlled. Behind these vehicles, 1 or 2 helicopters were in pursuit. These helicopters are equipped with large-caliber machine guns, which are so powerful that they can penetrate even steel. But the man with long green hair was extremely calm. He is the lord of the Asgard Palace, the son of Father God Odin, the younger brother of Thor, the evil god Loki. On the helicopter, S.H.I.E.L.D. Director Nick Fury is in pursuit. The 2 sides kept fighting, and Hawkeye was so powerful that almost no arrow failed. Nick Fury has no special abilities, and his agents are no match for Hawkeye. This makes them very passive. Coulson, how long until our reinforcements arrive? Nelfree said into the walkie-talkie. It will take a while, sir, I have notified the base. Coulson replied that they were also reinforcing, but they acted a little later and could no longer catch up. After saying that, Nick Fury put down the walkie-talkie in his hand and concentrated on dealing with Loki and others below. The cosmic cube must not be taken away by them. In these years, S.H.I.E.L.D. has been keeping the cosmic cube and knows the power contained in it. So no matter what, he must get it back. But they really can't deal with Loki and others now, even with their firepower very fierce. But it didn't have much effect. On the other side, Li Tae was sitting on top of the helicopter and had already found Coulson's location. Their reinforcements were coming very quickly, but the outcome was already doomed. Report, the director's helicopter has crashed. On the helicopter, the pilot looked at Li Tae and said, "It is indeed true. Although the details of the Marvel Cinematic Universe he traveled through have changed slightly, the direction of major events is still exactly the same. According to the current development of the plot, Nick Fury will officially implement the Avengers plan." Soon, Li Tae finally reunited with Coulson. "Li, aren't you on vacation?" Coulson asked, but his face was extremely anxious. Now the life and death of Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., is unknown. If something like this happens, it may be impossible to take a vacation. Li Tae replied, and Coulson nodded. With Li Tae here, their subsequent actions may be easier. Director, Mr. Fury, can you hear me? Coulson shouted again into the intercom. Li Tae stood aside and didn't say much. The Rubik's Cube has been taken away by an unknown enemy. The voice of Nick Fury came from the other side of the intercom. There are still many people trapped under the secret base, what should we do? Hill said. She was on the other side. At this time, on Fury's side, a large force had begun to reinforce. But it was impossible to catch Loki. On Coulson's side, there were Li Tae and others. The base moved very quickly. But it was still too late. Coulson, you should return to the base immediately and activate the level 7 alarm. Judging from the current situation, the war may have begun. Nick Fury issued the highest order, and both Hill and Coulson had solemn looks in their eyes. The matter is more serious than they believed. Yes, sir, reinforcements from the base have arrived and I will begin preparations. After saying that, Coulson ignored the others and turned off the intercom. Li Tae stood aside and didn't say a word from the beginning to the end. The secret base where S.H.I.E.L.D. studied the cosmic cube had completely collapsed and turned into ruins. This time, S.H.I.E.L.D. can be said to have suffered heavy losses. Under that secret base, there are many elite agents. How many of them can survive, few people know. Even Coulson sighed slightly, knowing this seriousness. They are going to start another plan. Lee, you and I are in the same car, and everyone else will return to the base. Coulson gave the order directly, and everyone began to move. As for the finishing work, other departments will naturally arrange it. In the car, Coulson sat next to Li Tae. His eyes were very solemn. Lee, maybe we are going to start a war. Li Tae nodded. He had already made preparations. During this period, Coulson made several phone calls in succession and was arranging some things. Li Tae did not look sideways and did not care too much. Because what they were going to do, Li Tae it was clear. Soon after, everyone returned to the base. But Fury did not show up. Li Tae knew that he might have started the plan. Coulson took Li Tae to show the inside of the base. He took out a mobile phone and started make a call. I know you are on the 3rd floor of the Zelensky building, and there are RF-22 fighter jets 8 miles away. Tell that woman to listen, or we will blow up the whole street. Coulson moved very quickly, and he said a long sentence. Not long after, he spoke again. Go back to the base quickly. The situation here is very urgent. Patton is being controlled. After that, Coulson waited for a few minutes. From beginning to end, Li Tae stood behind Coulson. He naturally knew who Coulson was talking to, so there was no need to eavesdrop. Soon after, Coulson hung up the phone and turned to look at Li Tae. Lee, next I will take you to participate in something. Don't ask too much, you will understand naturally. Now, I will take you to meet someone. Coulson's tone was extremely solemn, while Li Tae was moved in his heart. But he still asked with a little doubt, who is it? Coulson smiled, walked to Li Tae's side, and patted Li Tae on the shoulder. Chairman of Stark Industries, playboy, billionaire, Iron Man, Tony Stark. After saying this, a glimmer of light appeared in Li Tae's eyes. Li Tae only brought 10 people, they were all level 4 and level 5 agents. There were also other elites who were arranged by him to reinforce Nick Fury. Everyone set off, with Li Tae as the commander, and there were 10 people with 2 helicopters. Their purpose was to fight with Coulson. As for the other people, they stayed at the Avengers base. Soon, the helicopter started. Because the secret base had already reported its position, they went directly to their destination. At this time, in a place in New York, the entire land collapsed in large areas, and countless civilians screamed. The ground was full of ruins and police, and firefighters were urgently evacuating the crowd. In the dark night sky, 3 or 4 helicopters continued to pursue. Behind a car, a man wearing green, the long-haired man in the robe, looks extremely evil. But his body reveals a terrifying power. This power does not belong to the earth at all. Even if there are all kinds of bullets and bullets around, there is no way to hurt him. Not at all. It seems that his body is invulnerable. In his hand, a spear is inlaid with a blue energy stone. On the energy stone, there is a heart-stopping power emerging, shining with dazzling light. And there were 3 or 4 cars following behind. Dr. Eric Sevig and Hawkeye were sitting in the car. They looked calm and had a strange light in their eyes. It was obvious that the two of them and the people in the car were all under control. Behind these vehicles, there were 1 or 2 helicopters chasing. On these helicopters, a large caliber machine gun is prepared, which is so powerful that it can penetrate even steel. But the man with long green hair was extremely calm. He is the lord of the Asgard palace, the son of father god Odin, the younger brother of Thor, the evil god Loki. On the helicopter, S.H.I.E.L.D. Director Nick Fury is in pursuit. The two sides kept fighting, and Hawkeye was so powerful that almost no arrow failed. Nick Fury has no special abilities, and his agents are no match for Hawkeye. This makes them very passive. Coulson, how long until our reinforcements arrive? Nelfree said into the walkie-talkie. It will take a while, sir, I have notified the base. Coulson replied that they were also reinforcing, but they acted a little later and could no longer catch up. After saying that, Nick Fury put down the walkie-talkie in his hand and concentrated on dealing with Loki and others below. The cosmic cube must not be taken away by them. In these years, S.H.I.E.L.D. has been keeping the cosmic cube and knows the power contained in it. So no matter what, he must get it back. But they really can't deal with Loki and others now, even with their firepower very fierce. But it didn't have much effect. On the other side, Lee Tae was sitting on top of the helicopter and had already found Coulson's location. Their reinforcements were coming very quickly, but the outcome was already doomed. Report, the director's helicopter has crashed. On the helicopter, the pilot looked at Lee Tae and said, "It is indeed true. Although the details of the Marvel Cinematic Universe he traveled through have changed slightly, the direction of major events is still exactly the same. According to the current development of the plot, Nick Fury will officially implement the Avengers plan." Soon, Lee Tae finally reunited with Coulson. "Lee, aren't you on vacation?" Coulson asked, but his face was extremely anxious. Now the life and death of Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., is unknown. If something like this happens, it may be impossible to take a vacation. Lee Tae replied, and Coulson nodded. With Lee Tae here, their subsequent actions may be easier. "Director, Mr. Fury, can you hear me?" Coulson shouted again into the intercom. Lee Tae stood aside and didn't say much. "The Rubik's Cube has been taken away by an unknown enemy." The voice of Nick Fury came from the other side of the intercom. "There are still many people trapped under the secret base, what should we do?" Hill said. She was on the other side. At this time, on Fury's side, a large force had begun to reinforce. But it was impossible to catch Loki. On Coulson's side, there were Lee Tae and others, the base moved very quickly. But it was still too late. "Coulson, you should return to the base immediately and activate the level 7 alarm. Judging from the current situation, the war may have begun." Nick Fury issued the highest order, and both Hill and Coulson had solemn looks in their eyes. The matter was more serious than they thought. "Yes, sir, reinforcements from the base have arrived and I will begin preparations." After saying that, Coulson ignored the others and turned off the intercom. Lee Tae stood aside and didn't say a word from the beginning to the end. The secret base where S.H.I.E.L.D. studied the cosmic cube had completely collapsed and turned into ruins. This time, S.H.I.E.L.D. can be said to have suffered heavy losses. Under that secret base, there are many elite agents. How many of them can survive, few people know. Even Coulson sighed slightly, knowing this seriousness. They are going to start another plan. "Lee, you and I are in the same car, and everyone else will return to the base." Coulson gave the order directly, and everyone began to move. As for the finishing work, other departments will naturally arrange it. In the car, Coulson sat next to Lee Tae. His eyes were very solemn. "Lee, maybe we are going to start a war." Lee Tae nodded. He had already made preparations. During this period, Coulson made several phone calls in succession and was arranging some things. Lee Tae did not look sideways and did not care too much. Because what they were going to do, Lee Tae it was clear. Soon after, everyone returned to the base. But Fury did not show up. Lee Tae knew that he might have started the plan. Coulson took Lee Tae to show the inside of the base. He took out a mobile phone and started make a call. "I know you are on the 3rd floor of the Zelensky building, and there are RF-22 fighter jets 8 miles away. Tell that woman to listen, or we will blow up the whole street." Coulson moved very quickly, and he said a long sentence. Not long after, he spoke again. Go back to the base quickly. The situation here is very urgent. Patton is being controlled. After that, Coulson waited for a few minutes. From beginning to end, Li Tae stood behind Coulson. He naturally knew who Coulson was talking to, so there was no need to eavesdrop. Soon after, Coulson hung up the phone and turned to look at Li Tae. Li, next I will take you to participate in something. Don't ask too much, you will understand naturally. Now, I will take you to meet someone. Coulson's tone was extremely solemn, while Li Tae was moved in his heart. But he still asked with a little doubt, who is it? Coulson smiled, walked to Li Tae's side, and patted Li Tae on the shoulder. Chairman of Stark Industries, playboy, billionaire, Iron Man, Tony Stark. After saying this, a glimmer of light appeared in Li Tae's eyes. He has been waiting for a long time. Li Tae had been waiting for Coulson's words. He had anticipated all this in his previous actions. In addition, his own strength has long been recognized by Coulson, so this time Coulson will definitely take him with him when he goes to find Iron Man. Everything is under Li Tae's control. It seems that Sir's plan this time is not simple. Li Tae teased, but Coulson didn't say anything. In the past month or so, Li Tae had been very satisfied with several missions. Li Tae's strength was also what he valued. In addition, Coulson had originally I have a sense of awe towards Iron Man, and looking for Li Tae also gives me courage. You will know these things soon. Coulson smiled. Li Tae was also promoted by him, so Coulson wanted to let Li Tae participate in this plan. An unprecedented plan. Moreover, Li Tae definitely has the qualifications. Okay, let's go, Li Tae said. As one of the three giants of the Avengers, Iron Man is extremely terrifying in terms of status and strength. Especially those black technologies that almost everyone admires the most. And this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Iron Man's is the top priority. In addition, Li Tae has completed the mission and has a reward of 5 million. With a speed of 5,000 times, Li Tae has the confidence to download Iron Man's special ability. I hope I can download Iron Man's special ability this time. Super brain, Li Tae thought to himself. At least he should download his Mark armor, which is a big killer. Coulson nodded, and then set off with Li Tae. Just as Li Tae and Coulson got into the car, on the way to Stark Industries building. The voice of the system sounded in Li Tae's mind. Congratulations to the host for officially entering the Avengers plot and turning on the energy value function. Ding dong, the energy value function has been activated. Turn on the one-click download function and enable the upgrade function. Ding dong, energy values are being calculated. Energy value function. There was a trace of doubt in Li Tae's eyes. But at this moment, a huge memory appeared in Li Tae's mind. These memories were all about the new functions of the system. It took a long time for Li Tae to turn the system on. All the memories were digested. At this moment, there was a kind of astonishment in his eyes. The energy value function, simply put, is the energy value that Li Tae, as the host, obtains based on the enemy's strength when he fights with the enemy. And you don't need to completely kill the enemy or defeat the enemy. As long as you fight, you can get energy values. Of course, you can get energy values from killing and defeating. And this energy value has the following biggest functions at this stage. First, with enough energy value, you can perform one-click downloading. Yes, it is one-click downloading. It does not require any acceleration at all and the download is completed directly. Just like before, when Li Tae downloaded huge data and superpowers, he needed to accelerate, otherwise it takes a long time. But if you have enough energy value, you can download it with one click. However, the energy value can only download the ability required by the energy value, and the data return can only download the ability required by the data, which cannot be universal. Then the first function is ability synthesis. Similar abilities are synthesized and then transformed into more powerful abilities. However, only similar abilities cannot be synthesized with different abilities. The stronger the ability, the more energy is consumed. Finally, which is the upgrade of hero-level equipment. For example, the vibranium alloy shield that Li Tae obtained before consumes energy and is upgraded to become stronger equipment, and it is an all-round upgrade. For example, Li Tae now has a Mark I armor, using the energy value, can be directly upgraded to the Mark II armor. If Li Tae has enough energy value, he can even directly upgrade to the Mark 50 nano armor from Avengers 3. It can be said that he has recently opened the energy value function is extremely terrifying and powerful. So when Li Tae, who knew all this, saw this, his eyes were filled with shock. The function of this unlimited download system simply exceeded his imagination. Moreover, when the system gave in the memory that emerged, there will be more powerful functions in the future, but they have not been activated yet. However, he has only turned on the one-click download function now. As for many synthesis and enhancements, they have not been turned on for the time being. In Li Tae's memory, to unlock more functions, you must constantly unlock the plot. How to unlock the plot? That is, he must follow the plot of the existing movie universe. It is best not to interfere, otherwise it will be judged as disturbing the plot and cannot unlock other functions. Of course, it is not an easy thing to disrupt the plot. Unless he disrupts a major event. For example, the Mind Stone must be obtained by Hydra, otherwise the plot of Avengers 2 cannot unfold. This is the point. As for the others, as long as Li Tae does not go out of line, it will not have much impact. According to Li Tae's understanding of the system, when he is strong enough, he can do whatever he wants. But at this stage, he should go to the Avengers 3 plots or enough. Therefore, in addition to downloading, I also need to advance the plot. Li Tae pondered and understood all this at the moment. The power of this system is indeed beyond his imagination. Just seeing the use of the energy value is enough to make him defy the sky. At this moment, Li Tae thinks about facing Thanos in the future. Even Yuchi is the hero, with unparalleled confidence. What's wrong, Li, are you feeling unwell? Coulson was sitting in the passenger seat, looking at Li Tae's expression that looked uncomfortable, and said immediately. It's okay, sir. Li Tae smiled and acted extremely normal. Coulson nodded without any doubt. At this time, Li Tae opened his system panel again without any hesitation. Name, Li Tae. Identity, Level 5 Agent. Abilities, Marksman, Anti-Aging Gene, Spider Sense, Super Serum Gene, Super Endurance, Human Shield Integration, Adsorption Ability, Super Speed, Super Strength, Immunity to Mind Control, Physical Self-Healing, Hands Strengthening, Eye Transformation, Pig Iron Body, Super Combat Skill, Knife Mastery, Firearms Mastery, Stealth. Warehouse, Vibranium Alloy Shield. Balance, $5 million. Energy value, 20 points, can be used for one-click download and one-click upgrade. Sure enough, there is an extra column for energy value in the panel, but it can only be used for one-click download and one-click upgrade. As for synthesis, it is still powerful and will be gradually unlocked. The extra 20 energy points were obtained from the opponents he had defeated or killed before. He just shook his head slightly, with a hint of bitterness on his face. He has experienced many battles before, but he only has 20 energy points. It can be seen that obtaining this energy value is extremely difficult. But Li Tae didn't care. And there's the Battle of New York. Li, we're here. At this moment, Coulson's voice came over. At this time, Li Tae also completely came back from his thoughts and looked at the building in front of him. Stark Industries building. Just when Li Tae got out of the car, he saw the entire Stark Industries building light up again. This is a difficult guy to deal with, so we have to be careful what we say when the time comes. Coulson stood under the building with a wry smile on his face. Then, the two of them entered the building together. Because of Coulson's special status, the security guards in the building did not stop them. But they did. There is no way to enter the elevator. There are not many security guards in the whole building, but they are fully controlled by the Intelligence System security system. To put it simply, it is the artificial intelligence system invented by Iron Man, Jarvis. Hello, I'd like to see Mr. Stark. Coulson stood in front of the elevator and said to a screen. Hello Mr. Coulson, Mr. Stark is not convenient right now. A voice came from the screen, informing that Iron Man was nowhere to be seen. Li Tae was waiting on the side. This voice was the vision of the future. But it was not mature yet. Coulson shook his head slightly and hid in desperation. A few phone calls. He used the power of S.H.I.E.L.D. to modify Jarvis. Ding. Sure enough, a minute later, the elevator door opened. Li Tae and Coulson also entered the elevator directly. This elevator is Iron Man's special elevator. It can go directly to the top floor and is the fastest way to see Iron Man. Then, Coulson called Iron Man again. The other party did not answer, which made Coulson very helpless. That's his character. Coulson looked at Li Tae with a bitter smile and said, "There is nothing we can do. Even S.H.I.E.L.D. can't do anything to get Iron Man." Ding. When Cole finished saying this, the elevator door opened. This is the highest floor of the Stark Industries building, where Iron Man works daily. Various high-tech equipment appeared in front of Li Tae, as well as a full range of imaging operating systems. Everything looks very futuristic. This is what Li Tae admires about Iron Man, who has a genius-like mind. At this time, in the center of the office, a man in black sat on the sofa, holding red wine in his hand. He has a special temperament. This is a temperament that can only be cultivated by people who have been in high positions for a long time. But Li Tae did not see Pepper. It seems that the Marvel world he is in, the plot, the direction is inconvenient, but there are certain changes. Almost none of the key characters who cannot have too much impact on the plot appear. "Hey Coulson, are you here to celebrate the success of Stark Tower's new energy source with me?" Iron Man, Tony Stark, looked at Coulson and said, shaking the red wine glass in his hand. "Tony, I have something very important to discuss with you," Coulson said, his expression serious. "Are you asking me to save the world again? Who is this gentleman?" Iron Man didn't pay attention, but looked at Li Tae with a little doubt. Then, Li Tae didn't hesitate at all. He walked directly forward, stretched out his palm, and said calmly, "Hello Mr. Stark, I am Bruce Lee, a level 6 agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Although Iron Man is proud, he is not the kind of rude person. And he knows what kind of organization S.H.I.E.L.D. is. Although he pretends not to care on the surface, he still takes it seriously in his heart." Li Tae as a science Ersen brought the person, so he did not doubt it and directly extended his palm. "Hello, Tony Stark," and at the moment when the two came into contact, all of Iron Man's abilities were clearly in front of him. Name: Tony Stark. Identity: Iron Man, Chairman of Stark Industries. Abilities: the most powerful brain. Energy value: 10,000. Business management: 50 GB. Top fighting skills: 200 MB. Mark 7 armor. Energy value: 50. Iron Man doesn't have many abilities, only 4. But the 2 abilities that Iron Man possesses have already made him one of the big 3 Avengers. That is his most powerful brain and Mark armor. It's just that Iron Man's most powerful brain and his armor cannot be downloaded with data, only energy values. Especially the amount of energy required to download his most powerful brain is terrifying. After all, the Mark armor is unique to Iron Man, and the core technology is in his hands. These are all unique functions. Li Tae was not surprised at all by this. Iron Man's brain is his most powerful weapon and the most precious in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Therefore, the data cannot be downloaded, and the required energy value is as high as 10,000 points. Of course, if Li Tae has 10,000 energy points, he can download it with one click without any waiting. As for the Mark armor, Li Tae currently only has 20 energy points, which is still short of 30 points. Li Tae can foresee that in the future, he can completely get rid of the sword, and all downloads will use energy. Of course, only when the data size reaches a certain level can it be converted into energy value. Abilities that can be calculated purely based on energy values are the most powerful and terrifying. Iron Man also has 2 other abilities that can be downloaded using data. It's a pity that Li Tae doesn't need it. He can foresee that heroes who appear in the future may only have energy points to download. It seems that I have to find a way to obtain energy points. There are only 30 points left before I can download Iron Man's Mark armor. Li Tae thought in his mind that he was extremely eager for the Mark armor. With the energy value, he only needed a set of Mark armor, and he could use the energy value to upgrade equipment. After waiting, he almost did not need to download it again. Iron Man's energy. And Iron Man's most powerful brain, which is almost the most precious thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is this brain that can rival the gods. Thinking of this, Lee was slightly disappointed because he could not download it. Tae became excited again. He just couldn't download it for the time being, not that he couldn't download it. As long as he harvested energy points, everything about Iron Man would be his. So, He had to act quickly. Tony, look at this. At this time, Coulson spoke. He was holding a laptop in his hand and placed it on Iron Man's hand. Li Tae narrowed his eyes slightly. There was all the information about the first generation of Avengers. Moreover, he was going to need it soon. Met them. And after Iron Man opened his notebook, his eyes changed. It seems that there is a lot to do tonight. Iron Man knows about the Avengers plan, but he doesn't know the members. Now that Coulson appeared in front of him with all the information about the first generation Avengers, he was of course very serious. He knew before that he was not the only hero in this world. He also knew about the other people, but he didn't know the specific information. These things are all in the hands of S.H.I.E.L.D. Coulson, please go back first. I have to do my homework tonight. I will be there. Iron Man looked at the information of the entire series of images and said intently. He is focusing on this now. Okay, I'll report to Director Fury. Coulson smiled and let out a long breath. This matter was finally completed. Then, he and Li Tae looked at each other and prepared to leave this place. Li Tae looked back at Iron Man again, and then turned around directly. He needs to accumulate energy quickly. The strongest brain and Mark armor are too important. Almost what Li Tae wants to get most at this stage. If he has the strongest brain of Iron Man, as long as it is related to learning, he can almost master things in a short time. Iron Man is definitely a genius. His most powerful ability requires such a large amount of energy that it is definitely worth the money. In that brain, there are a lot of physics and all kinds of knowledge in other fields. With that brain, you can be said to be the best in the world in terms of invention and learning ability. The strongest genius and scientific genius in the Marvel world is not called for nothing. From a certain extent, Iron Man's brain is more useful than the Infinity Stones. Just like Dr. Banner, he is also a PhD in physics. But in this area of knowledge, Iron Man will be far behind Iron Man in the future. Street. The two are completely incomparable. This is also Li Tae's ultimate goal, to meet Iron Man. And the Mark armor is definitely an extremely powerful existence. There are many people who want to own that iron armor. Then it is a real black technology, a powerful weapon unique to Iron West that is almost impossible for outsiders to copy. This is another reason why Iron Man is powerful. As long as he downloads it successfully, it belongs to Li Tae. As for energy, he has a system Li Tae in the warehouse can be replenished at any time. It is much more powerful than the arc reactor on Iron Man's chest. And once the armor is damaged, the system warehouse can be restored as long as there is enough time. This saves Li Tae a lot of time, trouble. You have to hurry up. Li Tae murmured. All this made Li Tae very excited, so he must take action to obtain energy value. It can be said that this is the most important thing in Li Tae's heart. At this time, in Li Tae's, there was already a vague plan. Soon after, Li Tae and Coulson walked out of the Stark Industries building. The two returned to the car and put it down soon after. Come on, let's go pick up the captain. Coulson turned to look at Li Tae with a smile on his face. He had decided to let Li Tae participate in this mission. Li, we have a secret base that will definitely surprise you when the time comes. Coulson said mysteriously, but Li Tae just smiled. You will be meeting the captain soon. It seems that you are also very nervous, right? Coulson smiled awkwardly after hearing this. In fact, he was really nervous. In his heart, Captain America was a legend. Soon, the two appeared at the previous Avengers base. Captain America was already waiting. After a while, Fury had already left. A few people exchanged greetings, and Captain America was very familiar with Li Tae, so the two of them didn't say much. Then, they boarded the Quinjet together. This is the latest developed by S.H.I.E.L.D. Fighters, both in terms of speed and technology, are among the best in the world. There is an old acquaintance on the fighter plane. Black Widow, Natasha. After seeing Li Tae, Black Widow had a look on her face. A look of surprise. The last time she saw Li Tae was only a 5th level agent. But during this time, she heard a lot of news about Li Tae. Then everyone greeted each other, and Black Widow sat on the cab, with a charming smile on his face. Gentlemen, we are ready to go. After that, she started the fighter plane directly. The place where they were fighting this time was not at the Avengers base, nor in S.H.I.E.L.D. At this time, on the fighter plane, Coulson was talking to Captain America. Hey Lee. When Lee Tay began to think about future plans, Coulson's voice rang out, and his expression was serious. Lee Tay's eyes were dull. He knew what Coulson was going to say. Since you have already participated in this plan, I can tell you many things. Coulson values Lee Tay very much. Although Lee Tay is only a 6th level agent, in Coulson's eyes, he is already the most elite agent under his command. So at this time, Coulson is ready to take revenge. Lee Tay roughly told Lee Tay about Hawkeye, about Captain America, about Black Widow and Iron Man. Although Lee Tay knew the whole story, he still pretended to be shocked. For ordinary people, even for agents, this is indeed an unimaginable thing. It's incredible. After Lee Tay heard these things, the expression on his face was extremely shocked. Coulson understood, and he patted Lee Tay on the shoulder. But Coulson didn't know that these were actually Lee Tay's pretense. We need to be careful in what happens next, because this incident is beyond the boundaries of our shield. Although he knew that Lee Tay was very strong, in Coulson's heart, Lee Tay was just an ordinary agent. How could a normal person fight against those terrifying beings? So today's shield is only responsible for logistics and support work. The ones who really want to take action are those who have been chosen as the Avengers. Mr. Coulson, if Captain and the others are on a mission, can I join them? Lee Tay suddenly remembered something and said immediately. According to the development of the plot, they will find Loki soon. As long as they find Loki and fight with him, they can obtain energy points. Although Loki is in Marvel, they are not very strong in the movie universe, but they are still from the Asgard. There must be a lot of energy points. And this time Loki is pretending to surrender, while Lee Tay is doing it to gain energy points. Of course I want to see the second one. Let's see if Loki's abilities can be downloaded. He must keep getting stronger. But Coulson frowned slightly after hearing Lee Tay's words. He was embarrassed. Because in his eyes, Lee Tay was just a normal person. Coulson, Lee is strong and I agree with him on this mission with us. Captain America spoke. He knew Lee Tay very well. In the previous battles, he had not been on top temporarily. But Coulson was slightly surprised after hearing Captain America's words. He knew Captain America will not judge others easily. Okay, Lee, you can go on the mission with the captain. When Captain America spoke, Coulson would certainly not refuse. Besides, he had also learned about Lee Tay's strength. A smile appeared on the Black Widow sitting in the cab. She was full of interest in Lee Tay. Everyone continued talking. Time passed little by little. They were in the air and flew a long distance. Friends, we are almost there. At this moment, Black Widow's voice came. Lee Tay and Captain America stood in the cab of the fighter plane, looking down. A huge mothership, like a steel behemoth, lay across the sea, extremely spectacular. There are many Quinjet fighters on it, and the entire mothership is in the vast sea, giving people an unparalleled feeling. Of course, this is only for some ordinary people. Of course Lee Tay knows what this is, it is a secret of S.H.I.E.L.D. Base, helicarrier. But this was also the first time he had seen this. Soon after, the fighter plane landed. Captain America and Lee Tay got off the fighter plane and watched this spectacular scene. On the deck of the helicarrier, the man looked at the surroundings with a little surprise. But his eyes were full of vigilance and restraint, and he seemed to be uneasy about what was happening around him. It seemed that they were trying to deal with him. And when he heard the roar of the landing fighter planes, after making a sound, he turned around and saw Lee Tay and the others. Hello doctor, they told me you were coming. Captain America looked at the person in front of him in surprise. Yes Captain, I've heard about you too. The man spoke with a smile on his face. But the caution in his eyes could be seen by anyone. Lee Tay stood aside, with a glimmer of light in his eyes. After officially entering the plot of Avengers 1, he could see the most powerful character in the first generation. Several superheroes. And the one in front of him is the Hulk. At that moment, he walked forward without any hesitation. Hello Doc, I'm Bruce Little. Hulk, also known as Dr. Banner, was stunned, then nodded and politely extended his palm. Hello, Mr. Lee. Because both of them are named Bruce, of course he called him this to distinguish him. And the moment the two touched, Dr. Banner's confidence appeared in Lee Tay's mind. Name, Bruce Banner. Identity Hulk, PhD in physics. Abilities Hulk's Fury energy value, 10,000 Hulk's Power energy value, 30,000 Hulk Body energy value, 3,000 Regeneration power 1000 GB. Hulk has only 4 simple superpowers. But every superpower is extremely terrifying and powerful. Especially the most important Hulk's Fury. As we all know, Hulk's most powerful power lies in his anger. The angrier the Hulk becomes, the stronger he becomes. The extremely angry Hulk can easily destroy a city. And Hulk's Fury and Hulk power are closely related. If you want to unleash the Hulk's greatest strength, you must obtain his Hulk's Fury. Just like the plot in Avengers 2, the Hulk who is not angry enough will be checked and balanced by the Hulk anti-Hulk armor. But if it's an extremely angry Hulk, not even the Hulkbuster suit can stop him. Unfortunately, Li Tae did not have enough energy value. This made Li Tae look forward to the New York battle even more. Only in the battle could he gain energy points. The biggest problem facing Li Tae now is that he seems to be unable to download Hulk's most powerful ability. This can be said to be quite tragic. But fortunately, Hulk also has a regenerative power, which does not require energy at all. Because although the power of regeneration is powerful, it is not the power that Hulk is most proud of. Everything is presented in the form of data size. This is also a self-healing ability, but it is extremely powerful. According to Li Tae's understanding, this kind of regeneration power can almost regenerate severed limbs. This is equivalent to the power of Deadpool and Wolverine, although this power of regeneration requires a lot of physical energy. But if Li Tae possesses this power, he can remain immortal even if his heart is missing. Unless Li Tae is directly blasted into pieces. As for other abilities, Li Tae can continuously accumulate energy values and then download them. Li Tae was also helpless, as if a golden mountain was placed in front of him, but he couldn't use it. But one day, whether it's Iron Man, Hulk, or Thor's abilities, he wants to download them all to become the strongest. Afterwards, Li Tae immediately decided to download the power of regeneration. Although this data is as high as 1000 GB, under accelerated conditions, he can complete it in 4 or 5 minutes. Ding dong, connection successful. Ding dong, the size of the power of regeneration is 1000 GB, start downloading. Ding dong, the current download speed is 5 MB/s, valid within a range of 20 meters. Without hesitation, Li Tae spent 1 million and directly turned on the 1000-fold acceleration. Li Tae, we have other things to do, let's go. Just when Li Tae completed the connection, Coulson's voice came over. This shocked Li Tae. Within 4 minutes, he must stay 20 meters around Dr. Banner. Otherwise, the connection will be interrupted. 1 million is wasted. Okay, Mr. Coulson. At this time, Li Tae can't let Coulson have any abnormality. Especially the system on his body, which is all he relies on. Nice to meet you, Dr. Banner, and the truth will stay with you a little longer. Li Tae laughed. This made Banner and Captain America look weird. Who doesn't know how scary the guy inside Dr. Banner is? Li Tae actually wants to stay with Banner for a while. This is too courageous, right? Mr. Li, we still have a lot of time, Banner said, without doubting Li Tae. Then Li Tae let go of his palm, greeted everyone, and left with Coulson. 20 meters, must be within 20 meters. Li Tae's heart secretly calculating. Although he has extra swords, there are still many superheroes waiting for him. So, Li Tae must keep one hand for himself. But now, Coulson is calling himself, he must delay time. Stay within 20 meters within the specified time. Li Tae thought to himself. But his expression did not change at all, but slowly walked towards Coulson. Mr. Coulson, is this helicarrier our secret base? Li Tae asked casually, secretly stalling for time. Not bad, how about it, let it open your eyes. Coulson said with a smile, without any doubt. He was already 10 meters away, and there were still 2 minutes left. Li Tae calculated that his pace was very slow, but Coulson was very fast. Is this our new fighter plane? Why haven't I seen it before? Suddenly, Li Tae looked at a fighter plane and said, with a curious look on his face. At this time, Coulson also stopped and was not impatient. He just explained casually. 1 minute left. Li Tae's first time feeling the urgency of time, he was already 15 meters away from Dr. Banner. At this moment, Banner was constantly moving and would leave this distance at any time. At this moment, Li Tae stood upright in cold sweat and his body was trembling slightly. Coulson, gentlemen. The latter noticed Li Tae's strange behavior and hurriedly came over. What's wrong, Li? Li Tae shook his head, gasped for air, and said that he would just take a rest. But in the corner of his eyes, Captain America and Banner walked slowly towards the deck. No, Li Tae's expression changed. But at this moment, a voice came from his mind. Ding dong, download completed. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for gaining the power of regeneration. When Li Tae heard the sounds of these two systems, he completely relaxed. At this time, Banner had already gone out of the range of his download. This download was a near miss. And after he obtained when he was in Hulk's body, he only felt that every cell in his body was transforming. It was completely different from the genetic fusion he had obtained before. This time it was a real transformation. His cells, pores and even hair were changing. Every cell is cheering for joy. It is an inexplicable power that enters every corner of his body. Li Tae's cells have transformed into an unprecedented state. He seems to have an inexhaustible strength. This is comprehensive. The transformation is a real superpower. Li Tae's trump card has been upgraded again. He is now completely non-human. Unless he cuts off Li Tae's head or blasts him into slag, otherwise, Li Tae cannot die. Give him time, he can still be resurrected. But Li Tae is also a bit pity. This kind of regeneration power is worse than Deadpool and Wolverine. Those two are the real terror. But Li Tae is already very satisfied. Besides, there will be superpowers waiting for him to download in the future. Li, do you want me to call the doctor? At this time, Coulson's voice sounded, with a hint of worry on his face. Li Tae stood up directly and said with a smile, "It's okay, I'm just a little uncomfortable, just some old problems." What you just did was just done by Li Tae to delay time. That's good, if there's anything, don't hide it from me. Coulson said. Then, the two of them went to the control center of the cabin. There is a very large space here, with all kinds of sophisticated instruments. Almost all of S.H.I.E.L.'s elite agents are in this place. Of course, this is just part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Li, you are here too. Hill was commanding the helicarrier to take off. After seeing Li Tae, he had a little smile on his face. He had a good impression of Li Tae. Li Tae nodded and said hello to him. Li, come and see Mr. Director. Coulson looked at Li Tae and said. After hearing this, Li Tae looked forward and saw for the first time the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury, known as the King of Spies. He in the movie he looked the same as in Captain Marvel. He was black and had an injured eye. Seeing this, Li Tae couldn't help but think of the element-devouring beast that appeared in Captain Marvel. Of course, there was also the so-called strongest hero in Marvel movies. Captain Marvel. Li Tae has a strong interest in Captain Marvel Carol. But it is limited to the power of Captain Marvel. Hello, Mr. Fury. Li Tae said hello to Nick Fury with dull eyes. I heard from Hill and Coulson that you did a great job as captain. Nick Fury said, he values those who have strength and ability. Moreover, he also knows that in Li Tae's training plan, the US team's physical recovery is extremely fast. Mr. Fury joked, that's my job. Li Tae said with a smile. In front of the man known as the King of Spies, he had to hide a lot of things. Otherwise, he would be easily suspected. And the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. did not have any abilities that interested Li Tae. Fury nodded, and then Black Widow came in with Captain America and Dr. Banner. Li Tae noticed that Captain America took out a $10 knife from his pocket and put it on Nick Fury's hand. This is true. It was exactly the same as in the movie. Then everyone started to act. Dr. Banner, as the person who knew the most about gamma rays, was responsible for the final cosmic cube. And Coulson activated all the powers of S.H.I.E.L.D. with only one purpose, that is find Loki. Everything is going on in full swing. I didn't expect to meet you again. We had a great conversation before. Black Widow appeared next to Li Tae with a smile on her face. Yeah, it was a pleasure. Li Tae said lightly. Black Widow didn't have any abilities worth downloading, so he was no longer interested. After hearing Li Tae's cold answer, Black Widow had a look of surprise on his face, and she was even more interested in Li Tae. I'm curious. Coulson is chatting with his idol Captain America. It can be seen that he is very nervous. Sir, target found. At this moment, an agent turned his head. Coulson walked over directly and took a look at the picture to confirm it was correct. Fury looked at Loki's image, a glint of light flashed in his eyes, and he said immediately, Captain, it's time to act. Captain America nodded, he is always ready. Sir, let Lee follow you. Coulson raised his head and looked at Fury and said. The latter did not speak, but just looked at Captain America, wanting to hear his opinion. Captain America nodded, indicating that Lee Tae could follow. This also acknowledged Lee Tae. Special strength. Okay, Lee, you go with the captain and the others. Fury said, agreeing to Coulson's request. Okay, sir. Lee Tae replied, with a hint of joy in his heart. Loki, the god in Norse mythology, must have abilities that he is interested in. Moreover, if you fight, you can gain energy points. I hope this god will not disappoint him. In the dark night sky, a Quinjet appeared in the clouds. It was Lee Tae and others who had already started taking action. They have found Loki's location and have launched operations. Lee Tae and Captain America stood in the cabin, waiting for orders at any time. When he found his target, he seemed to want to kill someone. Black Widow looked at Loki wearing a green robe on the screen and frowned slightly. Captain America had already put on his combat uniform and took out his shield. We need to hurry up. After saying this, Captain America jumped out of the plane with a parachute on his back. Lee Tae symbolically took out his parachute and prepared to go out with Captain America. He couldn't let Iron Man rush ahead, otherwise the energy value would, but it was gone. Now Lee Tae must constantly look for battles. And catching Loki can further advance the plot. Soon, Lee Tae left the plane directly. When Lee Tae arrived, Captain America and Loki Rocky is already fighting. Loki is known as a god no matter how you say it, and Captain America has just recovered not long ago, so naturally he will not be his opponent for a while. Boom. At this time, Captain America was at a disadvantage and his shield was hanging aside. A glimmer of light appeared in Lee Tae's eyes, which turned into an afterimage. And when Loki wanted to make a heavy move, he felt a danger. Whoosh. 4 or 5 flying knives appeared in succession, and each flying knife contained extremely strong power. Boom. Loki retreated and hit the ground hard, but he was not injured. He has always been strong. Who is that god whose ants dare to sneak up on you? Loki yelled. At this moment, Lee Tae had arrived. He really wanted to see how strong this so-called god was. Without any extra movement, Lee Tae's whole body turned into a black shadow, and he even threw a few arrows in his hands. Dozens of flying knives came out. The sound of piercing the air was heard in an instant, and Loki also discovered the existence of Lee Tae at this time. He directly picked up the scepter in his hand and smashed it down in the face of Lee Tae, who was flying over. But Lee Tae was extremely fast, already surpassing Captain America. He raised his palms, strengthened his hands, turned into metallic color, and directly fought against Loki. Boom. Although Lee Tae's strength is not very strong, Loki's strongest strength is not in close combat. When the two of them fought, no one gained the upper hand for the time being. Double body. In an instant, two Lee Tae appeared directly. What? Loki's expression changed. It was hard for him to see clearly which one was his real body for a while. Captain America's expression changed even more when he changed. When Lee Tae fought with him, he hadn't used all his strength yet. Boom. Loki had no other choice. He used the scepter in his hand to emit powerful energy. Everything around him exploded under the huge energy. Lee Tae's clone was also affected and disappeared directly. And Loki immediately took action and appeared in front of Lee Tae in an instant. He used the scepter and pressed it directly against Lee Tae's chest. Seeing this scene, Black Widow and Captain America's expressions changed greatly. Not good. In the previous intelligence, Loki's scepter has the effect of controlling people's minds. Loki is already difficult to deal with. If Lee Tae is controlled, they will only become more passive. At this time, Loki's face showed a look of confusion. With an evil smile, he looked at Lee Tae and said slowly, God will let you see clearly the nature of this world. After saying that, he directly activated the scepter. But suddenly, the light of the scepter was restrained. What? Loki was shocked to find that the scepter in his hand had no effect on Li Te. Is this the so-called power that God relies on? Li Te smiled, and a smile appeared in his eyes. At this moment, Loki's face changed drastically, and his eyes were full of doubts. The scepter in his hand was extremely powerful in controlling the mind, and no one could escape. But the mere earthlings in front of him, was not affected at all. What happened? When Loki was confused, Li Te also launched a counterattack in an instant. He grabbed Loki with one hand and took the scepter directly with the other hand. The next moment, the information about Loki and the scepter appeared clearly in Li Te's mind. Name: Loki Odinson. Identity: adopted son of Odin, god of trickery, god of evil. Abilities: Ice Giant Body Energy Value, 500 Ice Giant Power Energy Value, 1000 Magical Power Energy Value, 500 Residual Limb Connection 1000 GB Longevity Increase 1000 GB Virus Disease Immunity 500 GB. Loki's Scepter Mind Stone Cosmic Power, temporarily unavailable for download and viewing. When Li Te saw Loki's abilities, there was a hint of astonishment on his face. Although Loki is said to be a god, he is still not as powerful as Hulk. However, Li Te can understand that the gods in the Western world are different from the gods understood in the Eastern world. Li Te has not considered the ability that requires energy points to be downloaded for the time being. And what makes Li Te most helpless is that the Soul Stone cannot be downloaded. This is one of the most powerful artifacts in the Marvel Universe. But Li Te knew that this was because his strength was not enough. To control the power of the Infinity Stones, one must possess power comparable to that of a true god. Li Te has not yet reached that level, so it is temporarily unavailable to view and download. But as long as he continues to get stronger, he can download all the infinite gems in the future. Now, there are 3 abilities available for download in front of Li Te. He doesn't need to regenerate severed limbs because he has Hulk's regenerative power. But longevity increase and protection from diseases and viruses are what he needs. Loki's lifespan is at least several thousand years, and there are too many anti-aging genes beyond the Black Widow. The Black Widow can live for a long time, but it is impossible to live forever. There is also disease and virus immunity, which is what Li Te needs. With this function, he can be immune to all diseases and all viruses on the earth. There is no need to worry about being poisoned at all. This is a very practical ability. Without any hesitation, Li Te directly chose to download. Loki will later be imprisoned in the helicarrier, which was specially built by S.H.I.E.L.D. for the Hulk. Once Loki enters, it will be difficult for Li Te to download his abilities. Ding dong, connection successful. Ding dong, the Shoyuan increase size is 1000 GB, start downloading. Ding dong, the size of virus disease immunity is 500 GB, start downloading. Ding dong, the current download speed is 5 MB/s, valid within a range of 20 meters. Seeing this, Li Te started 1,000 times acceleration. He didn't want anything unexpected to happen. $1 million is enough to hurt Li Te's body. But his own strength is the most important thing. While Li Te was downloading, a look of astonishment appeared on Captain America's face. Loki's scepter just now had no effect on Li Te. And it seems that Li Te's strength exceeds his imagination. Careful, but at the next moment, Captain America exclaimed. At this time, a dagger appeared in Loki's hand, and he stabbed Li Te directly. Although he wanted to surrender, he was definitely not defeated by a mere mortal. And the moment Loki made a move, Li Te felt it immediately. In an instant, Li Te took action. With powerful force, he lifted Loki high and smashed it to the ground again. Boom! Loki's expression changed greatly, and the powerful force almost made him unable to resist. But it was not over yet. Li Te grabbed his clothes again and threw him to the ground again, just like Hulk did to Loki in the movie. At this time, Li Te was like a ferocious beast, attacking again and again. This scene not only shocked Captain America, but also the Black Widow who was flying the fighter plane. It was too rough. Who is the god? Countless people looked at this scene in astonishment, stunned on the spot, speechless. While Li Te was going back and forth 3 or 4 times, Loki turned pale and fell to the ground after suffering a medium to large blow. At this moment his eyes were full of astonishment and despair. Where did this person come from and how could he be so strong? This was the only thought in Loki's mind. Ding dong, detect that the host battle is over and gain 20 energy points. Ding dong, download completed. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for gaining the ability to increase longevity. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for getting the virus system. When Li Te completely defeated Loki, the voice of the system came. Sure enough, Li Te guessed it right. As long as you fight, you can gain energy points. Although it is only a mere 10 points, but for Li Te, this harvest is enough. Including his own energy value, there are a total of 40 points. With another 10 energy points, he can download Iron Man's Mark armor. The two abilities of Loki were also fully mastered by Li Te. Especially when he merged Loki's two abilities, mysterious powers poured into Li Te's body. Li Te could feel that his strength increased again. As long as he continued to encounter powerful abilities, Li Te could continue to become stronger. Feeling the changes in his body, Li Te's eyes showed a glimmer of light, full of confidence. But he knew that this time it was just Loki's fake surrender. And Loki didn't know his true strength, so he could subdue Loki in a short time. If Loki was in his strongest state, even Li Te would be difficult to deal with now. This time, Li Te was caught off guard. At this moment, Captain America appeared next to Li Te, with a look of shock on his face. Li Te's strength was indeed beyond his imagination, and even he couldn't defeat Loki in a short time. But Li Te did it, and in such a rough way. It was simply beyond his imagination. Li, you are really strong. Captain America sighed sincerely. He even admired Li Te. Li Te put down the scepter in his hand and handed it to Cap. Captain, I leave this to you. Since the Soul Stone cannot be downloaded for the time being, Li Te plans to continue to promote the development of the plot so as to develop more powerful functions in the system. Captain America looked at Li Te and nodded solemnly. Whether it is Li Te's strength or Li Te's, his character is respected by Captain America. At this moment, there was a roar in the dark sky, and Iron Man landed in his armor. When the mask was opened, he looked at Captain America with a kind of surprise in his eyes. Did I miss something? This reindeer was subdued by you unexpectedly. Iron Man said. He originally wanted to see what the legendary god looked like, but now it seems that it is nothing more than that, so he is no longer interested. Loki's current appearance does look like a reindeer. Well, Mr. Li, are you there? Iron Man was a little surprised when he saw Li Te. Because there was no position of Li Te in the information Coulson gave him before. So Iron Man was very surprised by Li Te's appearance. Stay safe, Mr. Stark. Li Te replied. He didn't have enough energy right now, so he didn't download it immediately. Li Te was waiting for an opportunity. Come on, got Loki, we have a lot to do. Captain America said, and then put Loki on the Quinjet. The riots in this area stopped. Fortunately, S.H.I.E.L.D. acted quickly and did not cause too much damage. As for Li Te, who had not spoken, his eyes have always been on Iron Man. But he is not in a hurry. There is still a lot of time. He must get the Mark armor on Iron Man. At this time, Loki had been subdued by everyone on the fighter plane. But he didn't look anxious, but very relaxed. But when Loki looked at Li Te, he felt a little afraid. After all, in the battle just now, Li Te cast a huge shadow on him. Didn't he say anything? Iron Man looked at Loki, still looking like he didn't care about anything. Something was wrong, he surrendered too easily. Captain America spoke, and Jing Jing began to have doubts. There was no way, their operation this time was really smooth. His hunch told him that this matter was not simple. Why, is it because people are old and their memory is no longer good? Iron Man teased Captain America. But Captain America didn't answer him and didn't want to argue. He knew what kind of person this billionaire was. This guy is very strong. It is indeed a bit suspicious for us to subdue them. At this moment, Li Te spoke, a smile appeared on his face, and he looked at Loki like this. Loki was shocked when Li Te stared at him. Among all the people present, Li Te was the only one who was completely can't see through. As Mr. Li doubting his own strength, Iron Man said. He also felt that Li Te was not simple. Mr. Stark joked. Among the people present, I am afraid no one is more confident than me. Li Tay smiled and said nothing more. Boom. Just when Iron Man wanted to continue to say something, a series of thunderous sounds sounded. In an instant, the wind surged and thunder and lightning raged. The entire fighter plane was shaking. Loki's face was a little ugly, and he looked very nervous. Nervous. He knew that person was coming. Lightning flashed outside, and the Black Widow piloted a fighter plane with a heavy expression on her face. There's something unusual about this weather. She felt very strange. According to her previous understanding, there should be no thunder and lightning in these days. At this moment, Captain America also saw something strange about Loki. At this time, Loki looked out of the window. His face was a little pale. But he was not too afraid. What, are you afraid of lightning? Captain America spoke with a solemn expression on his face. He had always thought this matter was strange, so he was very concerned about Loki. At this time, Li Tay sat up slightly, with a smile in his eyes. He's the guy who's afraid of lightning. Li Tay spoke, his heart full of fighting spirit. As long as he fights, he can gain energy points. No matter he wins or loses. A simple battle with Loki can give him 20 energy points, not to mention the so-called Avengers Big Three. One of the gods of thunder. Compared to Loki, this god of thunder is truly a god. Boom. After Li Tay just finished speaking, the entire fighter plane seemed to have been hit by something. At this time, Iron Man and Captain America both realized that something was wrong and prepared to go. They knew that someone was about to appear. Iron Man opened his eyes even more in the back cabin of the fighter plane, prepared to see who appears. The next moment, a man wearing armor, a red cloak on his shoulders, and holding a silver hammer is none other than Thor, one of the three giants of the Avengers. At this moment, Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor the three finally gathered together for the first time at this moment. At this time, Li Tay also saw these three giants for the first time. As soon as Thor landed, he didn't hesitate at all, and faced Iron Man who was blocking him and struck down with his hammer. The power of Thor, it's too strong, it can't be compared to Iron Man's armor. Boom. Iron Man fell heavily on the cabin, while Thor took Loki directly off the plane. Li Tay didn't hesitate at all. He stood up directly, put his parachute on his back, and stood on the cabin. Li, what are you doing? They are all gods in myths and legends. Black Widow immediately noticed Li Tay's strange movement and immediately reminded her. Yeah Li, we need a battle plan. Even Captain America was a little shocked. He could see that Li Tay actually wanted to chase the legendary god. The gods I know don't dress like circuses, and now I have a plan, go to war. Li Tay didn't look back and jumped out of the fighter plane instantly. This shocked Captain America and Iron Man present. How can young people nowadays be tough? I love his character. Iron Man smiled, and immediately activated his armor and flew out of the fighter plane. Captain America looked at these two madmen with eyes full. He also put on his parachute. There was no other way. Once these people started fighting, how could they stop it? Got it. Captain, do you really want to go out? Black Widow can't believe these lunatics, especially the leader Li Tay. A level 6 agent, who is not even powerful in S.H.I.E.L.D., actually dares to challenge God. If I don't go, it won't end. Captain America didn't look back. He jumped out of the fighter plane with a shock shield in hand. They are really a bunch of lunatics. Black Widow shook her head. She couldn't help these people. She finally knew why Nick Fury had never started the Avengers plan before. These people were too difficult to control. At this time, Li Tay had no idea at all. Open the parachute, because this is too slow. His target at this time is only Thor. Only in this way can he quickly gain energy. Boom. The next moment, Li Tay returned to the ground heavily. Not far away from him, Thor and Iron Man were already fighting together. Without any hesitation, Iron Man and Thor, these two superheroes, were in front of him. Energy value. Of course he would not miss it so easily. Iron Man is very strong, but if he only relies on his armor, he is no match for Thor. He was knocked to the ground hard, and Thor also used real fire to face Iron Man. Shaw, I want to hit it directly with a hammer. The power of Thor's hammer is too strong. Even Iron Man's armor cannot bear it if it continues like this. Whoosh. At the moment he was about to smash down, Li Te used the spider web launcher to shoot out hundreds of meters of spider web, wrapping around the Thor's body. Well done, Li. Iron Man is still frightened. This Asgardian is too strong. Ah, but in the next moment, Thor had completely broken open all the cobwebs on his body, and the powerful power of thunder and lightning continued to sweep across his body. This is indeed a guy who can be called a god, and he is also the first person Li Te has traveled through the Marvel world. The strongest person he had ever faced. But he had no fear. In his hand, the vibranium alloy shield flew out. Boom! Thor's hammer hit the shield hard, bursting out with a dazzling light. And who are you? Thor, the god of thunder, looked at Li Te and yelled. He had never seen this person before. Shield Level 6 Agent, Bruce Lee. This answer stunned Thor. How dare a shield agent disrupt his battle? But before he had time to think deeply, Li Te threw out dozens of flying knives. Each flying knife was thrown. Carry this moment grenade. Boom boom boom. There were dozens of explosions in succession, and even Iron Man was a little confused. This Li Te was so powerful and so fierce that an ordinary person would have died countless times. But Thor is an Asgardian, and the physical body is not comparable to that of people on Earth. As the son of Odin, he is naturally powerful. Even dozens of grenades did not hurt him, but made him even more angry. Oh, Thunder God flew out in an instant, like a red lightning, and the speed was beyond ordinary people's understanding. This was the first time Li Te faced such a powerful opponent, and head-on confrontation was definitely not possible. So he had to use other methods. Li Te directly used the spider silk to wrap up Thor in just 1 second. After wrapping all the spider silk around hundreds of giant trees, Thor was temporarily unable to move. And he threw it again. He took out the shield in his hand and hit the god of thunder directly. Boom, boom, boom. Counting dozens in a row, even Iron Man on the side became a participant in the war. The two sons of Odin, the Lord of Asgard, were both beaten by Li Te on the same day. This was something Iron Man couldn't accept. Is this kid really just a level 6 agent? But at the next moment, Thunder God erupted, and his powerful force uprooted hundreds of giant trees. Bang bang bang. This kind of power is so terrifying that even Li Te was a little frightened when he saw it. Boom boom. At this time, lightning with a diameter of more than tens of meters gathered in the air and struck Li Te heavily. With this kind of power, not to mention one person, even a building would be torn apart. Li Te knew that even his physical body could not withstand this kind of thunder and lightning. He directly raised the shield in his hand, completely hiding himself under the shield. The terrifying lightning hit the shield in Li Te's hand at the next moment, and the powerful force surged out. Li Te felt like a huge mountain was pressing down on him. If his physical body hadn't been strong enough, he would have been unable to bear the aftermath of the thunder and lightning. Boom! In an instant, lightning was raging, rushing out in the mountain forest. It was not until 5 or 6 seconds later that Li Te felt that the power had disappeared. But at this moment, the spider sense was turned on, and he felt a powerful power. Li Te was shocked. He directly used spider silk to fix it on a tree. His whole body seemed to turn into an afterimage and left the place where he was just now. Boom! Sure enough, Thor struck again and hit the ground hard. This blow was powerful enough to injure Li Te. Put down your hammer. A voice sounded, and a red shield followed, knocking back the god of thunder who was about to take action just now. Li Te saw this opportunity, and he used the spider silk in his hand crazily to wrap the god of thunder again. This for a moment, Thor couldn't break free so easily. Li Te threw out the shield in his hand and focused it on Thor's head. Clang! The god of thunder retreated, arousing strong power to break the spider silk on his body. He was ready to summon Thor's hammer that fell aside. But when he was still about to take action, Captain America came out. He was very serious, looking at the people present. Have you had enough? Thunder God took a deep breath and stared at Li Te. He just suffered a big loss at Li Te's hands, which made him very unconvinced. But he knew that it was almost done. If he continued to fight, there would be nothing he could do. It's over. Boy, I remember you. The god of thunder looked at Li Te and said, his face was very ugly. He was a god, but he was beaten up by the people on Earth. It's so shameless. If you dare to use your hammer on me again, I promise not to hold back. Of course Li Te will not be weak and said calmly. Okay, stop arguing, we have business to do. Captain America took a deep breath. This group of people is too difficult to manage, especially when he is not strong enough. If it weren't for his age, I'm afraid Li Te and Thor would continue to fight. After hearing what Captain America said, Thor he didn't speak anymore. He was shocked, because when he came to Earth last time, there was no such group of people. He knew about Captain America and Iron Man, but he had never heard of Li Te. Of course Li Te didn't either, he didn't care and just stood there quietly. But at this moment, the voice of the system came out in his mind again. Ding dong, the battle is over, get 100 energy points. Sure enough, the energy value obtained by fighting a powerful person is considerable. 100 energy points are enough for him to do many things. Especially the energy value in his hand is enough for him to download the Mark armor on Iron Man. Steve Rogers. At this moment, Captain America spoke and stretched out his palm. As a representative, he has the obligation to reconcile everyone. Thor took a look and stretched out his hand. Thor. Then, Captain America glanced at Iron Man, but Iron Man didn't care at all. I don't have the habit of shaking hands with circus performers. This sentence almost made Thor storm out again, but when he was about to speak, Li Te stood directly in front of him. How, do you still want to fight? Thunder God said coldly. He slowly opened his palms. Bruce Little. At this time, Li Te was full of smiles. He looked very kind and looked at Thor like this. The three people present were stunned and looked at Li Te with some confusion. Just now, the two of them were fighting to death. Live, but it has only been 2 minutes. Li Te's entire expression turned out to be unacceptable to them. Captain America nodded happily to Li Te's act of acceptance. In his opinion, this was a sign of maturity. Then, Captain America looked at Thor. The latter was reluctant, but still extended his palm out of courtesy. And when the two came into contact, Thor's information was also directly presented in Li Te's mind. Name: Thor Odinson. Identity: Odin's eldest son, God of Thunder. Abilities: God Ace's body energy value, 5W lightning control energy value, 5000 power of the gods energy value, 3000 speed of the gods energy value, 1500 longevity increase 1000 GB heart of justice and purity 1000 GB, Thor's hammer approval condition Thor's hammer energy value, 20W. Sure enough, he is one of Marvel's most powerful heroes, and each of these abilities is extremely terrifying. Especially the abilities related to the gods, each of which requires a large amount of energy. It's just that the system prompts the gods, not the gods. Thor is not a god in the true sense of the word. Li Te knew this. As for why the speed energy value of the gods is small, it is because Thor's speed mainly relies on Thor's hammer. The energy value of Thor's hammer is as high as 200,000 points. For Li Te, this is an astronomical number. Li Te simply cannot download these things that require huge amounts of energy. As for the increase in longevity, Li Te didn't need it at all. But there is one thing, that is, a righteous and noble heart, which is the condition for obtaining Thor's hammer. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, only superheroes such as Captain America, Thor, and Vision can lift Thor's hammer. It depends on the character in their hearts, and it is also the spell Odin puts on Mjolnir. It's just that because Thor is a god, this ability is only apparent. Thinking of this, Li Te's eyes flashed with light. Downloading this ability means that he can use Mjolnir in the future. This is a powerful boost. You know, most of Thor's current power comes from this hammer. Only when waiting for Thor 3 will Thor truly awaken his power. If he could use Mjolnir, he would almost be a clone of Thor. And it only costs 1000 gigabytes, which is a great value for money. So at this time, Li Te, without any hesitation, directly downloaded Justice and Noble Heart. Ding dong, connection successful. Ding dong, the capacity of Justice and Noble Heart is 1000 GB, start downloading. Ding dong, the current download speed is 5 MB/s, valid within a range of 20 meters. Seeing this, after Li Te turned on the 1000-fold acceleration, a smile appeared on his face. I really don't know what Thor was thinking when he saw himself lifting the God of Thunder. What kind of expression will it look like after being hammered? After a long time, there was a scene that scared out of Thor. At this time, Mjolnir was placed in Li Tei's hand, as light as nothing. Li Tei even weighed it from time to time. The legendary Thor's hammer was picked up by Li Tei, right in front of the three giants of the Avengers. As the master of Thor's hammer, Thor stood there, messy in the wind. All he felt was a series of harsh slaps in the face. Silence is better than sound. Just now, he was confident that no one on Earth could lift his Thor's hammer. But the next second, Thor's hammer was gently picked up by Li Tei, which made him stunned. This was the first time he saw someone other than himself and Odin, and they were still Earthlings, without a trace of divine blood, lifting Mjolnir. Especially Li Tei's slightly questioning expression at this time made him extremely embarrassed. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. Loki stood on the top of the mountain, his eyes filled with astonishment. He has no information about this person at all, but it seems to have become a variable this time. No, the plan must continue. Loki thought in his mind and tried his best to suppress his shock. There was no way an Earthling beat up two sons of the Father of the Gods. This was almost unbelievable. It was far beyond everyone's expectations. Li Tei, who was lifting Thor's hammer at this moment, had no other ideas. Of course he wanted to take Thor's hammer as his own, but now was not the time, and if he had enough energy, he could completely download it. Thor's hammer. The downloaded Thor's hammer belongs completely to him. Although it requires a lot of energy, Li Tei is not in a hurry. As long as he keeps fighting, he can collect all the energy. This just fighting the God of Thunder is not a real battle, so let him get 100 energy points. If it is a real life and death battle, the energy points obtained will be even more. The energy points obtained are based on the strength of the opponent, the strength of the battle and the life and death of the opponent, thereby obtaining different energy values. The more intense the battle, the more energy values. Therefore, Li Tei is not in a hurry. Okay, let's all go back. Captain America spoke again, unable to delay any longer. Then Iron Man and Thor both nodded at this time. Iron Man was shocked, while Thor was embarrassed. Li Tei smiled and gave Thor's hammer to him. Thor. The latter lowered his head, looking very shameless. Then everyone took Loki away and returned to the fighter plane, the air base of S.H.I.E.L.D. As for the helicarrier as the headquarters, Nick as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Fulkelson also discovered Li Tei's terrifying behavior, which shocked everyone, especially because he didn't know that there was such a figure in S.H.I.E.L.D. Coulson, do you know him? He can actually fight Thor. Fury said. He looked at Coulson, because this is the person he brought. I thought before that he was very unusual, and he was probably a person with superpowers that we had not discovered before. The superpowers Coulson talks about are those who have the opportunity to become an Avenger. And with Li Tei's performance, he is fully qualified to enter their Avengers program and become an Avenger. Mr. Fury, how about I talk to him and ask him to join the Avengers? Coulson wants to join the Avengers so that their power will be even stronger. We need our own people. Nick Fury said. He thought that Li Tei was not suitable to join the Avengers, because in his eyes, if Li Tei really had superpowers, he could become their ace in S.H.I.E.L.D. Coulson nodded. After all, they were gods. S.H.I.E.L.D. can't rely on the Avengers for everything. Even people like Barton joined S.H.I.E.L.D. later and are not considered their own S.H.I.E.L.D. members at all. But Li Tei is not the case. They have all the information about Li Tei. I understand you very well. You can be considered one of my own. Okay, I'm going to see the so-called god. Fury looked at the landing fighter plane. It was Li Tei and others who had returned. He had suffered a big loss from Loki before. No matter what, he had to get this face back. At this time, the people who had just got off the plane, Captain America, Black Widow and Thor, left first, leaving Li Tei and Coulson to hand over. Iron Man took off his equipment and left with Coulson. After downloading many abilities, Li Tei's strength has already more than ever before. He has many abilities, but having more abilities does not mean he is strong. So what he has to do next is to continue to promote the development of the plot and unlock more functions for himself. Especially using energy values to fuse similar ability, this is what Li Tei wants most. After fusion, the ability will be more perfect and comprehensive. Even if he does not download it, he can continue to become stronger through it. He can even use the downloaded skills on his body to the ability of genes, perhaps after fusion, can create divine genes. or even more terrifying abilities, until in the end, he can turn himself into a real god. But it is too early to talk about these. Now his goal is Iron Man's body mark armor. You only need to download one set, and you can use it once and for all. Soon after, Li Tae came to the interior of the helicarrier. At this time, Dr. Banner, Thor, Captain America, and Black Widow were gathering. Let's discuss what happened together. I think he surrendered too easily this time. Black Widow and Captain America have the same view, believing that Loki's purpose at this time is not pure. Yes, that guy is elusive, and I think he's a lunatic for wanting to use the power of the cosmic cube. Dr. Banner thinks so too. The cosmic cube can release gamma rays, and of course he knows how dangerous gamma rays are. I'm afraid even those with the blood of the gods can't bear it. You'd better be careful what you say. He is from the realm of God, and we are brothers. Thor is delusional about Banner. He doesn't like being judged like this about his brother. He killed 70 or 80 people in 2 days, most of them unarmed. When Captain America and Black Widow didn't know how to reconcile, Li Tae walked out. He was wearing a black suit, tall and seemed to have great power. No one would underestimate his previous stop with Thor. Loki was adopted and I didn't know him well. Thor God said, saying that his relationship with Loki was not good, and he directly distanced himself from the relationship. Metal iridium, he had found this thing. Iron Man appeared with Coulson. And Li Tae's eyes immediately appeared on him. Chapter 51. This was the opportunity he was waiting for, but Li Tae did not take action immediately. What was he doing looking for that thing? Black Widow and Captain America were a little confused. They didn't know much about this thing, and there was a trace of confusion on their faces. I also read some information before. The cosmic cube can build a portal, but it is extremely unstable, while iridium is a stable element. Li Tae stood aside and put forward his own opinions based on his previous understanding of the movie. Everyone present looked at Li Tae, especially Iron Man and Dr. Banner. They did not expect that this Li Tae also in the category of animal chemistry. Are all S.H.I.E.L.D. agents like you? Dr. Banner spoke, and he could see that Li Tae was not simple. Everyone did not speak, waiting for Li Tae's answer. I just like to learn more than others. Li Tae smiled and didn't explain too much. As long as it can promote the development of the plot, Li Tae doesn't care what kind of impact his performance will have. Neither the Avengers nor S.H.I.E.L.D. are his goals. The other party Li Tae didn't care at all what he thought about himself. The people present didn't think much about it. Although Loki had caught it now, the cosmic cube was the focus of their operation. As long as they didn't find the cosmic cube, their mission would not be completed. And these people here are very smart, and they know that Loki's purpose is definitely not that simple. You need to be careful in everything. If Loki's plan succeeds, he may use the cosmic cube to open a portal and summon something. That's it. Is a real disaster. Patton will definitely take action. Black Widow said. She knew Barton very well. After all, they were comrades in arms. They found what they needed. If they wanted to open the portal, they had to find a power source with powerful energy, otherwise they would not be able to keep the portal open. Iron Man is indeed a genius. He already knows a lot of things. Even if it is a field that he is not good at, as long as he wants to learn, he can master it in a short time. This is his most powerful brain. And everyone knows about Iron Man. Everyone agrees with this eloquent talk, because in this field, Iron Man is considered an expert. Mr. Stark, if I guess correctly, Stark Tower started a new energy experiment a few days ago, and it was very successful. Li Tae looked at Iron Man with a smile on his face, but now Iron Man did not know what Li Tae meant. Yes, as long as he has enough conditions, he can open the portal. Dr. Banner also spoke. During the conversation between Li Tae and Iron Man, he thought of a lot. It turns out that it's not just Mr. Lee who knows his stuff, this must be Dr. Banner. I'm your super fan and I admire how you turn into a big green monster. Iron Man walked to Dr. Banner's side, with a hint of teasing in his tone. But his words really made everyone present feel frightened. Everyone knew that Dr. Banner didn't have much after his transformation. People can subdue him. This sentence of Iron Man caused a lot of dissatisfaction. Dr. Banner is here to help us track the cosmic cube and will not participate in the battle. Fury came out to stabilize Dr. Banner's mood. Once it broke out, the helicarrier would completely become an unsafe place. If they fell from this height, almost 80% of the people would die. Let's start with Loki's scepter. That thing is not simple. Even Barton was controlled, but Lee was still unharmed. This is really surprising. Black Widow said, he is very interested in Lee Tae. However, there is no ambiguity in her words. She just wants to know how Lee Tae avoided it. This is what everyone wants to ask. The scepter is very special. Everyone could feel how powerful the energy was. However, Lee Tae was not affected at all, which made them very interested. Some people are born different and cannot be envied. Of course Lee Tae will not explain this. Now he can stand with the Avengers, which already means that S.H.I.E.L.D. attaches great importance to him. All of this is because of his strength. I like the way you talk, Iron Man said again. This was the first time he saw someone more proud than him. Who's to say otherwise? Reintroduce yourself to Bruce Lee, and this time it's official. Lee Tae walked to Iron Man's side, making the latter feel weird. Everyone present looked at Lee Tae and Iron Man. Coulson and Lee Tae had already known each other before, why do they need to get to know each other again? This point even Iron Man couldn't figure it out, but looking at Lee Tae's outstretched palm, he still nodded. Tony Stark. Iron Man's tone was very serious. Different from the first meeting, this time it was an acknowledgement of Lee Tae's strength. Having strong strength is very important no matter where it is. And when Lee Tae came into contact with Iron Man, in an instant, a piece of information was clearly presented in front of Lee Tae. Name: Tony Stark. Identity: Iron Man, Chairman of Stark Industries. Abilities: the most powerful brain. Energy value: 10,000. Business management: 50 GB. Top fighting skills: 200 MB. Mark 7 armor. Energy value: 50. Although Lee took the most powerful brain, wanted to possess it, he still gave up. Afterwards, Lee Tae didn't hesitate at all and directly downloaded Iron Man's Mark armor. Ding dong, connection successful. Ding dong, do you want to spend 50 energy points to download the Mark 7 armor with one click? Yes, Lee Tae confirmed in his heart. Ding dong, download successful. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for getting the Mark 7 armor. The energy value is completely different from the previous data. With energy value, you don't need to wait at all. You can download it directly with one click. This is the power of energy value. At this time, two superheroes have appeared in Lee Tae's system warehouse level weapon. This made Lee Tae very satisfied. Okay, everyone, let's talk slowly. If you still have something to do, let's go and rest first. After that, Lee Tae left the cabin directly. Now that the energy value has been downloaded, he still has a lot of things to do. In this case, the plot will not change much. Everyone looked at Lee Tae. Even Coulson and Fury didn't stop him. Although Lee Tae was from S.H.I.E.L.D., they didn't want to hinder Lee Tae. This is strength. He's great and S.H.I.E.L.D. has an extra talent, Iron Man said. Then everyone continued to discuss what should be done next. Lee Tae returned to his room. As for other things, it has nothing to do with Lee Tae. What he needs most now is to improve his strength. According to the plot he knew, Hawkeye would soon attack the helicarrier. Dr. Banner will also lose control at this time and completely transform into the Hulk. By then the situation will be completely uncontrollable. Therefore, Lee Tae must participate in the next battle. Before that, Lee Tae must improve his strength. He must improve his steel suit. At this time, Lee Tae was lying in the room with his eyes slightly closed. He opened his dashboard and checked his current information. Name: Lee Tae. Identity: Level 5 Agent. Abilities: Marksman, Anti-Aging Gene, Spider Sense, Regenerative Power, Longevity Increase, Disease Virus Immunity, Super Serum Gene, Super Endurance, Human Shield Integration, Adsorption Ability, Super Speed, Super Strength, Immunity to Mind Control, Physical Self-Healing, Hands Strengthening, Eyes Transformation, Cast Iron Body, Super Fighting Skills, Sword Skills Proficiency, Firearms Proficiency, Stealth and Stealth. Warehouse: Vibranium Alloy Shield, Mark 7 Armor. Balance: $2 million. Energy value: 90 points, can be used for one-click download and one-click upgrade. His abilities are increasing, but many of them cannot keep up with his current strength. After that, many abilities need to be integrated. At this moment, Li Te had been familiar with the Mark armor he had just downloaded in his mind. The most precious thing about the Mark armor is not its inherent strength, but the unique technology inside it. Otherwise, with so many people in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it would be impossible for only Iron Man to have one. Moreover, Li Te, who owns the system warehouse, does not have to worry about damage to the armor and insufficient energy. These system warehouses can help him solve it. Now he was familiar with every function of the iron suit. After downloading his armor, it has been completely controlled by Iron Man. As for the artificial intelligence operating system inside, it has also been completely transformed by the system. Every move of the armor, and even all targets, are completely controlled by Li Te. As long as he wears it, he seems to be integrated with this steel fighting spirit, and no other operations are needed at all. After nearly an hour, Li Te figured out all the functions of the armor. In his warehouse, the Mark 7 armor has completely changed its appearance. Both appearance and styling have undergone tremendous changes. The entire armor is black, which is more in line with Chinese aesthetics. Especially the kind of hellish black that seems to be able to involve everything. This Mark 7 armor has completely changed its appearance. Afterwards, Li Te didn't hesitate much and started to upgrade the armor directly. Ding dong, upgrading the Mark 7 armor requires 50 energy points. Do you want to upgrade? When Li Te used the energy value to perform a one-click upgrade, the system prompts followed. Sure enough, he guessed right, the energy value required for upgrading is not much. However, as the armor is continuously upgraded, the energy value also increases. Will increase accordingly. 50 points of energy value, this does not matter. At the moment, he directly chooses to confirm. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for successfully upgrading and obtaining the Mark 8 signal armor. The voice of the system came, which made Li Te overjoyed. Even if Iron Man upgrades himself, it would take a long time, and there are all kinds of calculations. But with the system, you don't have to worry about these at all. Li Te only needs to click lightly. You can complete the upgrade of the Mark armor. It is extremely easy. The Mark 8 model of armor has two most outstanding points compared to the Mark 7, attack and defense. Especially the armor, it can withstand huge attack power. This is the most outstanding point of the Mark 8 armor. Iron Man has not yet designed this type of armor, but Li Te has already owned it in advance. After doing all this, Li Te looked at the one he downloaded from Captain America. The shield that came. This is a vibranium alloy shield. It is very strong. Nothing has destroyed it so far. But Li Te does not think that although this vibranium alloy is strong, the entire universe is so big that when the attack reaches a certain level, at that point, even this shield might not be able to withstand it. So, he once again upgraded the vibranium alloy shield. Ding dong, upgrading the vibranium alloy shield requires 30 energy points. Do you want to upgrade? Yes, Li Te did not hesitate at all. Although this energy value is precious, it is the most important thing only when it becomes his own strength. As long as he fights, he can definitely get the energy value. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for successfully upgrading and obtaining the super vibranium shield. Not long after, the shield was completely upgraded. With this upgrade, the shield was far superior to the previous one in terms of strength and attack power. And the most important thing is that this shield added a new function. That is, and like Thor's hammer, it can return to Li Te's hands on its own, unless the distance exceeds a certain level. But Li Te is not satisfied with this. He wants to turn this shield into a truly god-level indestructible existence in the universe. It's just that it's too early to think about this. Through these two upgrades, Li Te's strength has once again become stronger. Especially with the armor and shield, Li Te has no problem facing the God of Thunder. This time improvement, Li Te is very satisfied. Boom. But just as he was thinking about this, a violent explosion appeared. The entire helicarrier was shaking, and Li Te opened his eyes in an instant. Hawkeye's action had already begun. Hulk was about to change. Now that I'm pregnant, fighting him will definitely bring me a lot of energy. Dee. At this time, all the warning lights in the mothership were flashing. Li Te opened the door directly and headed in the direction of Hulk. Their positions would not change much. So Li Te has already set his goal. Roar. At this moment, a huge roar shook. Several agents stayed in place, not knowing what was happening. Li Te's eyes flashed, and without any hesitation, he went straight towards the roar. Boom, boom, boom. As he continued to approach, the huge roar became louder and louder. The next moment, he saw the Black Widow with a pale face, heading straight towards him. Leave quickly, Dr. Banner is out of control. Black Widow was very anxious and wanted Li Te to leave. The violent Hulk's destructive power was unparalleled. But Li Te did not flinch, and his whole body turned into an afterimage and rushed behind Black Widow. In front of him, a green humanoid monster faced Li Te and punched him. Boom. The power of this punch is so strong that few people can resist it. Even Li Te today can't. Plum. Black Widow shouted, her face pale. Although Li Te is very strong in her eyes, it is almost impossible for him to be Hulk's opponent. Especially in this state, Hulk can destroy everything. And just when Hulk's fist was about to touch Li Te's body, Li Te took out his super vibranium shield and placed it in front of him. Boom. Under the powerful force, even Li Te felt the terror of that power. Like a kite with its string broken, he flew out directly and hit the wall. Black Widow was frightened. This punch was probably going to kill Li Te. Hulk once again set his sights on Black Widow, making the latter frightened. Her physical fitness was not strong enough to withstand Hulk's attack. Boom. But at the next moment, Li Te pushed away all the steel that fell on him. In front of Hulk and Black Widow, he stood up directly. Barton may be causing trouble elsewhere, so you should leave first. Li Te spoke with a calm expression. Zhang Jingjing put away the shield in his hand. At this time, Black Widow could tell that Li Te wanted to deal with the Hulk alone. But Dr. Banner in this state will kill you. Black Widow is very worried. On this helicarrier, the only one who can confront the Hulk head-on may be Thor. I let you leave. Li Te looked at Black Widow, a glimmer of light flashing in his eyes. The next moment, black parts instantly covered Li Te's body. Just like Iron Man, Li Te put on the armor in an instant. The black armor like a black god of death, with a black cold light all over his body. It was extremely chilling. The Black Widow was completely stunned. Facing the newly transformed Li Te, she had no idea what to say. In this state Li Te, she had never seen it before. It was like a war machine. Good. Black Widow looked at Li Te's transformation and nodded immediately. Perhaps, this Li Te can really deal with this green monster. Then she left the place without any hesitation. Roar. Hulk roared and took a step forward, crushing the cement under his feet. Boom. The next moment, Hulk appeared in front of Li Te and punched him. Whoosh. In an instant, spider silk appeared on Li Te's hand, wrapping Hulk in a short time. The spider silk used by Li Te this time was several times that of the previous battle against Thor. Roar. Hulk roared. He was very powerful, but could not break through these spider threads for the time being. At this time, Li Te took action. He used the rays and various attack methods in the armor to attack Hulk in all directions. Dong dong dong. The huge explosion shook, and all the devices on the mothership were destroyed. Fortunately, Li Te was extremely careful, otherwise the helicarrier would really fall directly. Roar. After nearly 2 minutes of Li Te's wild bombardment, Hulk finally broke through the spider thread. Li Te's previous attack did not even break Hulk's defense. You can imagine how powerful this Hulk's body is. Degree. Boom. In the blink of an eye, Li Te took action again, gathering all the armor on his left hand, forming a huge fist. Boom. Click. The sharp wind swept across, and pieces of armor exploded and cracked in an instant. Even Li Te's armor could not withstand Hulk's power. Li Te continued to retreat, and there were figures on his hands and feet. With the powerful power, he flew directly. He used his flexible armor to continuously shoot out spider silk. Facing such a being with only brute force, the only way was to overcome strength with softness. Although Hulk was powerful, spider silk was no matter how powerful his power is, he can't blast it away directly. He can only let the spider threads wrap around him at this time. Hey, good job. At this time, Thor appeared, and he punched the Hulk. Thor is a god and is completely different from human beings. Even the Hulk needs to be cautious about his power. Boom. Although Hulk fell to the ground, he became angrier. The angrier he was, the stronger he became. Roar. In an instant, Hulk shattered the spider silk and violently attacked Thor, who had just attacked him. This powerful monster was even difficult for Thor to deal with. Boom. Thor directly summoned Thor's hammer and smashed it directly against Hulk. Lee Tae took action at this time, spraying out powerful energy from his hands and hitting Hulk's body. But Hulk's skin was too hard. It can't be destroyed, it can only be pushed away by that powerful energy. Throw him down. Lee Tae spoke directly. Thor, who was about to take action, saw a big hole in the mothership and immediately understood what Lee Tae meant. If the attack is like this, the entire mothership will be returned. It is better to throw Hulk first. With how it's as if it's impossible to get hurt. Boom. Thinking of this, Thor took action and fought Hulk with Lee Tae. Their goal was not to defeat Hulk, but to make him retreat continuously. Under the double attacks of Lee Tae and Thor, Hulk finally persisted. He stopped and fell directly. In order to prevent Hulk from having a chance to come up, Lee Tae fired a cannonball directly, hitting Hulk and making him fall faster. My impression of you has changed. You are really strong and smart. Where did this suit of armor come from? Thor said, beginning to appreciate Lee Tae. The armor on Lee Tae also reminded him of Iron Man. Although the two are completely different, how could Thor know this? Your lovely brother is still up here, don't you want to go take a look? Lee Tae didn't explain, he opened the mask and said directly. Saul seemed to have thought of something, and immediately turned around and left. The battle with Hawkeye is not over yet, so we need to hurry up. Lee Tae thought that although he could not gain a lot of energy from fighting Hawkeye, mosquito legs were still meat no matter how small they were. At this moment, the voice of the system came out of Lee Tae's mind again. Ding dong, the battle is over. Congratulations to the host for gaining 200 energy points. Sure enough, fighting Hulk is different. Lee Tae smiled, immediately got out of the armor state, and went straight to Hawkeye. At this time, Hawkeye was already fighting the Black Widow, and the two could be said to be evenly matched. Regardless of this is true in terms of strength and physique. It's just that Hawkeye is extremely strong in long-distance combat, while Black Widow is powerful in close combat. The battle between the two sides will soon determine the winner. However, Hawkeye is not that easy to deal with. After all, he is on the same level as Black Widow. The fight between the two was completely fist to fist, because the physical fitness of both people was too strong, and the fight was extremely fierce for a while. Barton, wake up. Black Widow's fighting ability is very strong, but her opponent is Barton, and it is difficult to subdue Barton in a short time. At this time, Hawkeye's eyes are exuding a strange blue color, which looks extremely weird. Representative his mind was completely controlled and he regarded the Black Widow as his enemy. Boom. At this time, Hawkeye punched down, and Black Widow couldn't resist it, and hit the wall directly. The huge force was difficult for even Black Widow to bear, and she only felt that her body was shaking. At this moment, Hawkeye directly took out the gun in your hand as about to face the Black Widow and shoot. Boom. A flying knife suddenly roared out, like a silver lightning, hitting the gun in Barton's hand in an instant. Black Widow turned her head directly and saw Lee Tae in a black suit. How's that big guy doing? Black Widow said, and she also breathed a sigh of relief. The fact that Lee Tae can appear here unharmed means that Hulk no longer poses any threat. Lee Tae did not answer Black Widow's words. He took action directly and faced Hawkeye with dozens of throwing knives. Each throwing knife carries powerful power, like a bullet. Boom. Hawkeye is worthy of being a Hawkeye. He immediately sensed the crisis, especially since his eyes were strengthened, and he directly avoided Lee Tae's attack in a short time. But at the next moment, Lee Tae took action in an instant. He faced Hawkeye punch down. Boom. Under the powerful force, even Eagle Eye was unable to withstand it, and he hit the ground heavily. Lee Tae pursued the victory with an extremely calm expression, and punched Eagle Eye on the chest. At this time, Eagle Eye he couldn't avoid his eyes at all. He hit the ground and felt dizzy. All this happened too fast. Lee Tae had a variety of powerful abilities that were beyond what Hawkeye could parry. Even the Black Widow on the side was watching. After this scene, her eyes were shocked. Even she couldn't defeat Hawkeye for a while, but Lee Tae subdued Hawkeye in a short time. Even Black Widow was inferior to this kind of close combat skills. But in Black Widow, before she could sigh, she saw Li Tay grabbing Hawkeye's neck, holding his head, and slamming it to the ground. Don't want. Under such a powerful impact, Hawkeye couldn't bear it. But Li Tay didn't care so much and took action directly. Boom. Under the powerful force, Hawkeye hit his head on the ground and fainted directly. If Li Tay hadn't reduced the power in his hand, I'm afraid Hawkeye wouldn't have simply fainted. Li, what are you doing? Black Widow said in disbelief. After all, he and Hawkeye were once comrades in arms. Now seeing Li Tay attack so fiercely, he is completely trying to kill people. He also uses such a terrifying and brutal fighting method when facing his own people. And Li Tay stood up, his expression did not change at all, staring at Black Widow coldly. At this time, his brain really needed to be recalibrated. After saying that, he ignored Black Widow's shock and turned around to leave. From the moment Li Tay took action to now, it was only 3 minutes. A legendary agent was subdued by Li Tay just like this. What kind of guy is this? Black Widow murmured, but now it's better to quickly ask someone to let Hawkeye go back and rest. The blow Li Tay just dealt was not too heavy. Then, she directly asked other agents for reinforcements through the communication device. At this time, the system's voice also came from Li Tay's mind. Ding dong, the battle is over. Congratulations to the host for gaining 20 energy points. It's almost the same as Loki, but that's understandable. When Hawkeye fought with him before, he didn't use all his strength. But it's different now. This is a real battle, and Hawkeye certainly can't fight against him. With Hulk and Hawkeye in the battle, a total of 220 energy points were obtained. Although it was not much, it could still do a lot of things. This time, Li Tay planned to save the energy points first. In the subsequent battle in New York, so many Chitauri, even if each one only has a little energy value, as long as he moves fast enough, he can harvest thousands of energy points at once. As long as he waits for the New York battle to be over, Li Tay can definitely download some of the powerful abilities of the 3 giants of the Avengers. That is the real top superpower. While Li Tay was thinking about this, the entire helicarrier had returned to its original state and was no longer falling. It seems that the cooperation of Captain America and Iron Man has stabilized the helicarrier, came down. Soon after, Li Tay came to the place where Loki was originally imprisoned. The huge transparent prison had disappeared, leaving only Nick Fury and the dying Coulson. Li Tay had no feeling at all about this. He knew that Coulson was just faking his death this time. However, the future Coulson may not appear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It will be difficult to see him in the future. Mr. Fury. Li Tay stood behind Nick Fury and spoke calmly. Nick Fury turned to look at Li Tay and took a deep breath. Coulson is dead. Li Tay nodded, indicating that he knew. Coulson's departure is undoubtedly a huge blow to Fury. Even now he doesn't know whether the Avengers' plan will be implemented. Sir, Loki has run away and now is not the time to be sad. Li is very calm. It seems that the Nick Fury in this world is still a little different from the movie world. But he must promote the development of the plot and start the battle in New York. What's your suggestion? Fury stood up, with a trace of doubt on his face. He looked at Li Tay, as if he wanted to see through him. I know that you have actually found out that I did what happened to Peter Parker, and I have no reason to hide this, but you also know that I did not cause any harm to that child, so there is no pursuit. Li Tay was very calm. He could guess these things. After all, shield is shield. As long as they investigate with all their strength, they can definitely find out. But Li Tay is sure that Peter Parker is the little spider, and shield has not yet. I know. Maybe, they will know in the future. But these are no longer important. You are smart and you were right. What are your thoughts about these Avengers? Nick Fury said, he is a very scheming person. But he can't see through Li Tay. Especially when he is not sure about Li Tay's purpose. But one thing he is sure of is that Li Tay is not Jutu. The Snake Man has not caused any harm to S.H.I.E.L.D. So now he wants to hear Li Tay's opinion. What should be done next? We need a plan, and Mr. Coulson's death is the most important part of our plan. Li Tay smiled, with a glimmer of light in his eyes. He wants to control S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers in his own hands. And this is just the first step. Of course, the control Li Te wanted was not to truly control them. He just wanted to make these Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. fear him so that they would not cause trouble to him in the future. Just like now, he is confessing something to Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., in order to make the other party put down his guard against him. In fact, what he did was very effective. Fury is indeed slowly letting down his guard now. But this is just the beginning. Let the other party truly believe in you completely. Now is not the time. The existence of this so-called spy king is not that simple. Coulson's death is the most important part of our plan. Fury looked at Li Te. Although it was just one eye, a kind of wisdom emerged. Li Te's words made him think of a lot. S.H.I.E.L.D. cannot control these Avengers, as I believe you can see from previous events, but we can use this opportunity to officially unite them, at least this time. Li Te was extremely calm. As a person who has seen the overall situation, he naturally knew what he was doing. Fury also knew what Li Te meant and nodded immediately. With Coulson's sacrifice, you make these people share the same enemy, right? You are indeed very smart. Fury said. He now knows Li Te's plan. It is to use Coulson's death to make these people become real Avengers. I believe what Loki has done before and put them there can be resisted. The superheroes were angered. Now, all they lack is a motivation. Although Thor and Dr. Banner have left now, it is only a matter of time before they return. I believe Mr. Fury already knows how to do it, and I will support you. Li Te remained indifferent, as if what happened before had nothing to do with him. So how can I completely trust you? Fury has already agreed with Li Te's plan and plans to do it. But Li Te's current performance is indeed too surprising, and when he defeated Loki and started the war with Thor, Fury had already I suspect that this Li Te is a person with superpowers and his purpose is extraordinary. Now he is a little afraid of Li Te. We have not had any conflicts before. On the contrary, I will help you. As for how you can completely believe in yourself, it depends on Mr. Fury himself. After saying this, Li Te turned around and left. For such a person, he does not need too many explanations. The more he explains, the bigger the flaws will be. Fury is a smart man, he knows what to do, is the best. So, what Li Te had to do was to say a word at the critical moment. Looking at Li Te's leaving back, Nick Fury didn't say anything, but slowly squatted down and took a step from Coulson's side. He took out some bloody cards, including Captain America and Thor. In fact, Coulson did admire these superheroes. Spies, agents, are also human beings. Coulson, I won't let you die like this, Fury said, and then he handed it over to someone to deal with it, and then he went to the main cab of the helicarrier. At this time, there were not many agents left in the entire cab. They were all the elites of the elite. Hill's face with scars and emotions that have not yet calmed down. Captain America and Iron Man sat in the middle, there was not much excitement on their faces. It was just a kind of loneliness after failure. This was the first time they felt defeated, and it was the first time they felt defeated. One of their own was injured. From the beginning to the end, Loki did nothing to let them, the most powerful superheroes on Earth, fall apart. This made them very angry and regretful at the same time. The main cab was somewhat damaged, reflects their feelings of failure. This was found in Coulson's coat. At this time, Fury came out and dropped a few cards in his hand. Captain America and Iron Man looked at the bloody cards and closed their eyes slightly. Whether it was Iron Man or Captain America, they had nothing to do with S.H.I.E.L.D. The impression of Coulson in the game was very good. But now, he died in front of him like this. Fury looked at them without speaking, and remembered what Li Te said to him, and at the moment he slowly walked out. My original intention was to build an extremely powerful alliance that would help us protect the Earth. Maybe I was wrong from the beginning. Iron Man and Captain America both looked at this, and they listened quietly. I want to use the cosmic cube to create a powerful weapon, but I don't put all my bets on it. I have a better dream. Stark should know that you are all the most outstanding in the world. People, when gathered together, play a more powerful role. Fury arrived slowly. He is indeed a very smart man. In fact, Captain America and Iron Man both know what he said. It's just that it's more impactful to say it now. These concepts are all clichés, and they are the same in movies. Iron Man stood up. Although he said this, Coulson's death really made him very angry. This is the most important point for them to work together. Mr. Stark, you know that our enemies are powerful and there are many people who need you. At this time, Li Te appeared, and he was still so calm. But now, he had put on a battlesuit and looked extremely clean and neat. Everyone looked at Li Te again, with something strange in their eyes. This is the person that no one has ever seen through. He is said to be from S.H.I.E.L.D., but it seems that S.H.I.E.L.D. cannot control him. I know Mr. Coulson, he believed in you and he will believe it until the day he dies. Li Te sat down. No one stopped him, not even Nick Fury. Everyone was silent again. Coulson's death had a great impact on everyone present. Loki knows any of you, so they break them one by one and make you fight among yourself. In fact, you failed, and completely. Li Te spoke again, with a relaxed expression. But what he said really made everyone, including Captain America, frown. Li Te said that they failed, which made them unhappy. But this is an indisputable fact. They cannot refute. You are all strong and known as superheroes, but now, facing this kind of failure, don't you want to take revenge? At this moment, Li Te stood up and looked at Captain America and Iron Man. His tone was solemn. This is a provoking method, everyone present can see it. But it is also the most useful method. Whether it is Captain America or Iron Man, they have failed before. But this was their first failure, and it made them angry. Li Te was right, the only way to save the situation was to take revenge. Only in this way can they make up for their previous measures. Moreover, he can also avenge Coulson. We didn't know what to do, communications were down, all signals were gone and it was impossible to find Loki. Captain America spoke up, and he told the biggest problem they were facing now. After hearing this, everyone present was silent for a while. Before, Loki took the initiative to sacrifice himself, but now that Loki has escaped, there is no way he will be killed so soon. They discovered that the longer time goes by, the more difficult their situation will be. Especially after he opens the cosmic cube, they may face more terrifying enemies. Mr. Stark, what kind of person do you think Loki is, and what are his next plans? Li Te spoke appropriately. He had already reminded Iron Man before, but the latter had not yet understood. Once a person has experienced failure, he will calm down. He is an arrogant man who likes flowers and applause. He wants the world to see his existence, and he has found the necessary elements. The only thing he needs is a huge energy source, so that he can truly open the universe Rubik's Cube and build a portal. Iron Man was talking eloquently while analyzing the questions raised by Li Te. But the more he analyzed it, the more he felt something was wrong. Now, he finally knows where Loki is. That is Stark Tower. Where it is, it not only fits Loki's character, but also meets the conditions for opening the portal. You know, that building is his Stark Industry and a landmark building of Stark Industries. This makes me always proud. How can Iron Man endure it? And Captain America, Fury and others also knew the problem, and Li Te's meaning was already extremely obvious. I'm going to get some help. Fury, send me a plane. Captain America stood up directly. He was already eager to try. After he finished speaking, Iron Man, Captain America and others began to take action. Li Te stood there with a troubled look on his face. Both Fury and Hill were stunned. Looking at Li Te at this moment, these uncontrollable superheroes were actually organized by Li Te in just a few words. They were shocked. As a representative of S.H.I.E.L.D., I will also participate in this battle. After that, Li Te also went to prepare. Fury and Hill were left behind. Mr. Fury, who is little. Hill also began to doubt because he was performing so well now. Let him be. Fury doesn't have much. The most important thing now is to get these superheroes together. Only in this way can the current crisis be solved. Soon after, Li Te and Captain America were in a treatment room. This is where Hawkeye is, Black Widow also here. I need manpower, can you fly a fighter plane? At this time, Captain America spoke with a solemn expression. Black Widow's strength is indeed qualified to participate in the war with them. I can. At this time, Hawkeye came out. His eyes had returned to their original appearance, and they were still filled with incomparable anger. Loki had controlled him before, which made him very uncomfortable. For this reason, he had to take action. Black Widow looked at Captain America and nodded, indicating that Hawkeye was now back to his original state. Then, everyone set off together. Lee, Natasha said, you helped me calibrate my memory. How did you do it? Hawkeye looked at Lee Tay, with a trace of doubt and curiosity on his face. He was controlled by Hawkeye. How did Lee Tay help him recover? Captain America and Captain America cast curious glances. Lee Tay had previously offset Luo Tay's power. Basic control. This is a very bad memory. Mr. Button should not think about it too much. Lee Tay smiled, leaving the Black Widow helpless. She did not tell Hawkeye. After all, Lee Tay's method of calibrating memory was too cruel. She was afraid that Hawkeye would not be able to accept it for a while. At this time, Hawkeye didn't think too much. Just nodded slightly. Okay, Captain, please find an opportunity to set off. Mr. Stark and I will go together. After saying that, Lee Tay turned around and left. Captain America and Hawkeye looked at each other, wondering what was going on. He is stronger and more mysterious than we thought. Let's do our thing and he will go. Black Widow said, without explaining the mystery. Everything will be revealed in the subsequent battle, and it is meaningless to say more now. Then, the three of them boarded the fighter plane together. The target was the Stark Tower in New York. And at this time, Lee Tay has come to Iron Man's side. Hey, Mr. Stark, are you ready? Iron Man looked at Lee Tay, holding the newly repaired steel helmet in his hand. He glanced behind Lee Tay, but did not see Captain America and others. Won't you go with them? I can't take you with me. Lee Tay nodded slightly after hearing this. I know. Iron Man looked strange, but ignored Lee Tay. He took out the controller in his hand. In an instant, the steel suit behind him unfolded, covering his whole body. This process was extremely pleasing to the eye, and it was a strong sense of technology. Then, Iron Man only had one head left outside, looking at Lee Tay like this. Lee, I really can't take you. You can go find the captain and the others, although it will be a little slower. When he said this, Iron Man was extremely proud. This is the suit he designed, and in this world, he is the only one who has this technology. With the help of the iron suit, he has become a real superhero. The creation he is most proud of. I know, Mr. Stark. Lee Tay said. The moment he just answered, pieces of black armor instantly covered his body. Each piece of black armor looked extremely mysterious, revealing this ancient charm. This it is a battle armor that conforms to Chinese aesthetics and has an aura. Lee Tay, who is wearing armor all over his body, is like a black god of death. Every part of the battle armor seems to be born for war. Those who saw this scene from beginning to end, Iron Man's eyes were straight, he couldn't believe it. Just from the appearance, he could tell that this armor was more powerful than the Mark 7 armor he placed in Stark Tower. It was like the Mark 7 armor. Upgraded version. Could it be that Lee Tay is wearing a battle armor designed by himself? At this time, an idea came to Iron Man's mind, but he quickly calmed down. The armor in front of him was completely different from his design concept. Especially the color and armor on it are completely different. But why does Lee Tay have this kind of armor on him? This made Iron Man unable to accept it for a while. The battle armor should be his first creation. Now, can we set off together? Lee Tay said with a smile. Of course he knew the reaction of Iron Man. Let me ask you, if the thing that I am most proud of suddenly finds that others also have it, it would be difficult for anyone to accept it. And Lee Tay's purpose is I want Iron Man to discover it. After the transformation of the system, Iron Man can't find anything strange at all. Especially the power system of the two sets of armors. Iron Man relies on the arc reactor on his chest, but Lee Tay has the system warehouse. Just like in his previous battle with Hulk, the armor suffered some damage, but it quickly recovered completely. He doesn't need resources to patch it up at all. Okay, let's set off together. Iron Man said, and then he put on his helmet and flew directly out. Lee Tay did not hesitate, activated the armor, and followed closely. This was Lee Tay's first time to experience the feeling of flying at high altitude, especially on him. The armor is extremely powerful, both in terms of speed and kinetic energy, and there is no need to worry about power consumption. It can be said that the difference between Lee Tay's armor and Iron Man's armor is the power system. On the other side, I just sat down. Captain America, Hawkeye and others who boarded the fighter plane also saw Li Tae and Iron Man leaving. A look of astonishment appeared on their faces. Who is that black armor? It can't be Li Tae, right? Hawkeye asked curiously, while Captain America shook his head. This was the first time he saw Li Tae in such a state. Some of the things he does are always unexpected. Black Widow said, she has accepted it. After all, even Hulk's punch did not hurt Li Tae. She is looking forward to what surprises Li Tae will have next. In the air, there are 2 sets, one black and one red. The armor rushed out, and the speed exceeded the speed of sound, forming a sonic boom. Li Tae's armor was an upgraded version, and it was faster than Iron Man. At this time, Iron Man followed closely, and he looked at Li Tae in front of him, full of questions in my mind. Jarvis, scan the structure and materials of this armor. After Iron Man gave the order, all the data appeared on the screen monitor in front of him. Sorry sir, this armor cannot be scanned. The material and structure are unknown. The voice of Jarvis came, which surprised Iron Man. The artificial intelligence he developed can scan almost most materials in the world, and can even find weaknesses. But Li Tae's black armor, he did not know clue. Could it be that this suit of armor was really just developed by him? Iron Man thought in his mind that he already felt that this armor had nothing to do with him. It was just that he was curious about how Li Tae built this armor. It was even more advanced than his own. Is there any other armor in this world? Is there anyone smarter than himself? Just when Iron Man was thinking of this, the clouds in the sky slowly faded away. Below Li Tae and Iron Man, Stark Tower stood. On the highest floor, an unknown device was Start. Iron Man also found Loki's location through the suit. It was his office. Mr. Stark, come along, Li Tae said, entering the office with Iron Man. As for that device, Li Tae was unwilling to destroy it. How could he obtain the energy value if he didn't want to find a way to start a war? Li Tae didn't care at all how much impact this war would have and how many people would die. Iron Man thought of Loki's power and immediately agreed. This was just in case. Soon after, Li Tae and Iron Man landed on the top of the building. At this moment, Loki also discovered the existence of the two. He held the power staff. A trace of doubt appeared on his face. Who is that black armor? When Iron Man and Li Tae put away their armors, Loki's expression changed. It's him. Unconsciously, Loki already had a hint of fear towards Li Tae. This was a fear stemming from lack of understanding. He knew all the information about everyone else, but he didn't know anything about Li Tae at all. However, he doesn't care. This time he will use his true strength. Hey Mr. Stark, and this Mr. Lee. Loki spoke, with a smile on his face, looking very evil. Iron Man glanced at Li Tae and walked elsewhere. He needed to activate the latest armor. Li Tae slowly walked towards Loki. I want to tell you that it's time for you to surrender. Li Tae spoke, looking extremely relaxed. But his tone made Loki very unhappy. You know, he grew up in the fairy palace, and was defeated by a mortal, which already made him very embarrassed. But now, Li Tae actually wanted to surrender. How could he agree? Last time, it was just my negligence. I am a god you can never understand. Loki held the scepter and said loudly. He waved the scepter directly, and a ray of energy spurted out directly. Boom! Li Tae did not dodge and allowed the energy to impact on him. Plum! Iron Man, who had just put on the bracelet, was shocked. He didn't expect that Li Tae would withstand Loki's blow. The human body on Earth cannot withstand such an attack. And when Iron Man spoke, Loki he rushed directly in front of him, directly picked up Iron Man and threw him out. I am God, and what I say is God's command. I am the master of this world. Sevig, what are you still hesitating about? Come and conquer this world with me. Loki held the scepter and shouted loudly, as if he was really a master. Just a false god, claiming to be the master. At this moment, Li Tae walked out. Loki's blow just now had no impact on him at all. Loki's eyes were full of murderous intent and he went straight towards Li Tae. Whoosh! In an instant, Li Tae threw dozens of flying knives. The speed, angle and power of each flying knife were extremely terrifying. Boom! Loki couldn't dodge, and was focused by the flying knives, and fell in the ruins. But Li Tae did not stop. This Loki has a strong physique. The flying knives could not hurt him at all. Ant, you are disrespecting God, I will make you pay the price. Loki rushed out, gathered energy again, and fought with Li Tae. At this time, above the Stark Industries building, Dr. Sevig had completely opened the cosmic cube. The real battle had begun. On Stark Tower, a ray of light instantly broke through the sky. Above the sky, violent rays of light gathered together to form a huge portal. At this moment, Iron Man, who had just put on his latest armor, also discovered this, with a look of shock on his face. Not good. Iron Man looked at the huge portal in the sky, and small black dots poured out of it. It was an army, densely packed behind the portal. He knew that Loki's plan had succeeded. And with a crazy smile appeared on Loki's face as he fought with Li Tae. He was enjoying this moment. Do you see, this is the consequence of offending God. You simply cannot understand that the entire earth will be horribly devastated. Loki yelled. He looked at Li Tae, hoping to see Li Tae's frightened expression. But he was disappointed. Li Tae's expression did not change at all in front of him. There was even more faint excitement in his eyes. What is the purpose of this guy? Li Tae didn't pay much attention to it. He sprayed out a large amount of spider silk from his hand, which kept wrapping around Loki's body. These spider threads were so dense that Loki couldn't break free for a while. What are you going to do, Earthlings? Loki was a little frightened. Li Tae had endless methods and he couldn't deal with it at all. But at this moment, Li Tae had no interest in Loki at all. He put on the armor and flew out of this place. He just passed, and in Loki's battle, he once again gained 20 energy points. But he had a better choice, which was to kill those endless Chitauri. Stark, you go to the ground to evacuate the crowd, and I'll deal with them. Through the walkie-talkie, Li Tae contacted Iron Man. At this time, Iron Man, who was fighting at high altitude, saw Li Tae's figure and looked at the rioting crowd below. Well, you have to pay attention. After saying this, Iron Man rushed directly down. A smile appeared on Li Tae's face. He didn't know the energy value of these Chitauri. But when the number reaches a certain level, a qualitative change will occur. This time, he wants to completely harvest the lives of these Chitauri. The Chitauri are very technologically advanced, and they are a kind of mechanical symbiont. They themselves have no mobility, but the mothership in the universe gives them providing energy. The black armor on Li Tae's body instantly locked onto dozens of Chitauri. The armor opened and dozens of careful missiles flew out. Bang bang bang. One by one, the Chitauri were killed by missiles and died directly. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for killing the enemy and gaining 1 energy point. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for killing the enemy and gaining 1 energy point. The sound of the system kept coming, which made Li Tae feel happy. A Chitauri only has a little energy, so what he gains this time may be very terrifying. Lee, how is the situation now? At this moment, the voice of Captain America came. It was the walkie-talkie channel they had connected before, so that they could fight better. Captain, now that Loki has opened the portal, a group of alien troops are coming to Earth, and the situation is critical. Li Tae replied, and Captain America also predicted what would happen this time. After saying this, Li Tae ignored the others and continued to strangle the Chitauri in his air. Fortunately, the energy of the system is endless, and he doesn't need to worrying about the lack of energy. But the equipment on the armor is limited, and only by putting away the armor can you get compensation and recovery. But now, with energy values in front of Li Tae, it is impossible for him to put away the armor so quickly. Captain, you command them now, and I will block the gap above. Li Tae's words have already let Captain America know that Li Tae doesn't seem to be being ordered. Li Tae doesn't care about other things. He just wants to get a lot of energy. Fortunately, Li Tae has many methods, and in a long time, for a period of time, 1/2 of the Chitauri were intercepted by him in the air. But 1/2 rushed to the ground and began to carry out massacres. Li Tae ignored the others. His goal now was to kill. Boom boom boom. Big explosions are happening across the sky, and Li Tae is constantly harvesting the lives of the Chitauri. Fortunately, Li Tae has a spider sense and will not be targeted like Iron Man. He can launch attacks in advance. So for a long time, Li Tae was not injured at all. This guy, why didn't I know he was so powerful before? Eagle Eyes looked at Li Te, who was constantly slaughtering in the sky, and his expression changed. When he came into contact with Li Te before, Li Te was just a third-level agent. But now it seems that Li Te has reached an extremely terrifying level. Even I can't defeat myself. Don't worry about this, we need to act quickly. Captain America spoke, and then specified the battle plan. Although they were small in number, fortunately everyone was very powerful. Hawkeye and Black Widow nodded and started this time's battle in New York. In the sky, although the Chidori suffered Li Te's fierce firepower, but their numbers were too large, and Li Te could not kill them all. As the number of Chidori continued to increase, Li Te's pressure became more and more intense, but he also became more and more excited. These are all energy values. Look, what is that? Black Widow looked at the sky, and a huge alien creature appeared. Its huge body was like a building, which shocked both Captain America and Hawkeye. The crowd below saw this scene and ran away. This area has already became a battlefield. Many innocent people died, and even Iron Man, Captain America and others could not save many. We have to deal with that big guy. Once it comes down, it will cause serious losses. Iron Man said, his face changed drastically. At this moment, Li Te activated his armor, like a black lightning, focusing on the huge alien creature. Boom boom boom. Countless explosions sounded, and under Li Te's powerful vitality, the giant creature suffered a huge blow. To deal with this creature, Li Te used weapons of mass destruction. At this time, Captain America and others only saw, Li Te was slaughtering in the sky alone. It seemed that these so-called superheroes were nothing. Li Te ignored the shock in their hearts. He only had one thought now. That was to kill. Below, the first-generation Avengers were all the assembly has begun. Captain America is formulating a battle plan, but he ignores Li Te. Because he knows that he cannot order him. Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow, etc., all take action. Marvel movies. The most famous war in the world has officially begun. Although the first-generation Avengers were not as powerful as the later ones, at least the three giants were here. Especially under the command of Captain America, they are all well organized. Li Te continued to strike in the air, making the people below feel a little relaxed. The two most powerful combat powers among the first-generation Avengers were Hulk and Thor. The Hulk is extremely powerful and his skin is indestructible, with almost no attack able to break through his skin. And his power is like a war beast, extremely terrifying. As for Thor, because he was powerful enough, he also had the ability to control thunder and lightning, allowing him to kill hundreds of Chidori in a short period of time. This made Li Te very jealous. This kind of power to control thunder and lightning was indeed very powerful. Therefore, Li Te wanted to continuously kill these Chidori and collect enough energy. Only in this way can he gain more powerful abilities. Moreover, according to his estimation, once the plot of the reunion is over, the ability fusion function in his system will also be activated. This is the function he looks forward to most, the integration of his own abilities, thus becoming a more powerful ability. As time goes by, the battle becomes more and more intense. Huge alien creatures keep coming and wreaking havoc in New York. It is unknown how many people died in this battle. This battle in New York will have a huge impact on the entire New York. Of course, these have nothing to do with Li Te. He didn't care how many people died. And with more and more battles, the Avengers' cooperation becomes more and more tacit. Among them, Thor is even more terrifying. His power to control lightning is indeed powerful. Besides Li Te, he has killed the most people. Stark, did you give Li Te the armor he is wearing? Thor said, a little frightened by Li Te, who kept killing Chidori in the air. This was a one-sided massacre, completely tireless. No, the armor he wore was developed by himself. Perhaps it was his superpower. Iron Man replied, now the first-generation Avengers all think that Li Te has his own superpower. But they don't know what this superpower is specifically. But now, it is enough to have Li Te to relieve them of the pressure. 4 battle circles were formed on the battlefield. One was the Hulk, who was constantly colliding with each other in the buildings. He was extremely powerful, but his ability to fight alone was terrifying. On the other side was Iron Man. The armor on his body provided him with a powerful weapon. Combat power. But he doesn't have the spider sense like Li Tae. These Chidori are too crazy and don't hesitate to sacrifice. So in the process, Iron Man's armor was severely damaged. And there is Thor, he was powerful, and his divine bloodline made him feel like he was victorious. He could control thunder and lightning almost tirelessly, and these Chidori were just small soldiers. Therefore, on the battlefield, the number of people he killed was second only to Li Tae. The last one was Li Tae. Many of the missiles and bullets in his armor have been used up, leaving only the energy that can be fired. These energies are the most powerful killing moves, and almost no Chidori can resist them. Seeing this kind of energy keeps erupting, and even Iron Man can't help but tremble. Li Tae, I want to ask you, what is your energy source and why is it endless? This is the issue that Iron Man is most concerned about. His energy source comes from the arc reactor, and the energy of the arc reactor comes from the cosmic cube. Although it contains terrifying energy, it will also be exhausted and needs to be restored. Especially his steel the suit has received great damage. Seeing Li Tae firing energy without any scruples makes Iron Man a little envious. This kind of inexhaustible energy is what every scientist and inventor wants to have. Mr. Stark, watch your back. Just as Li Tae finished speaking, a Chidori appeared behind Iron Man. The latter did not react in time and fell directly to the ground, and then started to fight back. Of course Li Tae would not tell him the source of his own energy. This is his biggest secret and his biggest advantage. So among so many people, only Li Tae can always maintain his peak condition. There are too many Chidori and we have to do something. Captain America's voice came. If the fight continues like this, it will be endless. Everyone has realized this, and at this time, Black Widow has already started to take action. Li Tae looked at the people acting below and frowned slightly. He hasn't killed enough yet. Although he has gained a lot of energy points, he is not satisfied. Whether it is Thor or Hulk, downloading their abilities requires terrifying energy points. But he also knows that there will always be some battles. The end. And what he can do is prolong the war for a while. Boom boom boom. The Chidori army appeared again. They attacked in large numbers and became more and more numerous. When their strength was exhausted, Captain America and the others were about to reach their limit. Even though these people were superheroes, they had not yet dealt with it first. The ability of an army. Thor may be able to do it, but if this continues, the damage caused will become greater and greater. This is something they don't want to face. I just received news from Fury that the congressmen have decided to use nuclear weapons. At this time, Iron Man's voice came, shocking everyone who was fighting. No one here does not know the power of nuclear weapons. Once this kind of weapon is launched, the entire New York will be affected. I'll stop him, you guys find a way to close the channel. Iron Man flew away directly, while Captain America and others acted as quickly as possible. Li Tae continued to kill the Chidori in the sky. Just like the plot in the movie, the top management actually used nuclear weapons. It's really a group of people who don't know what to say. People. Li Tae sneered, this is America, self-righteous, civilians are like this, and so are congressmen. But Li Tae doesn't care, whether the nuclear bomb explodes or not, it has nothing to do with him. The death of those people will not affect him. The only thing he needs to do is to make himself stronger. But Li Tae did not stop Iron Man from taking action. The nuclear bomb exploded, and even he would be affected. And Black Widow has already appeared in Stark Tower, and this battle is very complicated. It will end soon. Boom boom boom. Li Tae still had a cold expression on his face, killing the Chidori to his heart's content. At this time, his energy value was also increasing. The battle in New York was just a springboard for Li Tae to become a strong man. Especially this time he was in the gains from the New York War can be said to be very great. Therefore, he must make full use of the results of this New York War to improve his strength again. At this time, the US team was handing over to S.H.I.E.L.D. and did not leave here directly. Li Tae, on the other hand, directly checked his own information and how much energy he had gained. Name, Li Tae. Identity, Level 6 Agent. Abilities, Marksman, Anti-Aging Gene, Spider Sense, Regenerative Power, longevity increase, disease virus immunity, super serum gene, super endurance, human shield integration, absorption ability, super speed, super strength, immunity to mind control, physical self-healing, hands strengthening, eyes transformation, cast iron body, super fighting skills, sword skills proficiency, firearms proficiency, stealth and stealth. Warehouse super vibranium shield, Mark 8 armor. Balance $2 million US. Energy value 5,700 points can be used for one-click download and one-click upgrade. In this battle, Li Tae actually gained 5,770 energy points. It may bring an unknown amount of improvement to Li Tae. With so much energy, even Li Tae didn't know how to spend it. Now Li Tae has two choices, the first is the Hulk, and the other is Thor. It can be said that the abilities of these two people are very powerful. They have all exceeded the limits of what humans can bear. But it was difficult for Li Tae to choose. Whether it's Thor or Hulk, he can only choose one of the abilities to download. If you want to download more, Li Tae's energy value is still not enough. After all, the energy value required by the energy in them is too much. Of course, Li Tae can also choose the magical power of Loki. Loki is known as the most powerful wizard in Asgard. It's just that when Li Tae thought of Loki's magic, he also thought of another person. That's Doctor Strange. In the plot of Thor 3, the legendary first wizard of Asgard was tricked by Doctor Strange. Even Thor didn't react for a moment. Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, is arguably the most powerful magician in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, unmatched by anyone. Of course, this is only in the movies, not the comics. Especially Doctor Strange, who possesses the Time Stone, has almost no shortcomings. Of course, he's a magician and has a weakness in melee combat. But no matter what, Doctor Strange can definitely be regarded as one of the strongest heroes in Marvel movies. So instead of trying to download Loki's magical power, Li Tae would be better off with Doctor Strange. As for the Hulk, the only thing Li Tae can choose is the body of the Hulk. The Hulk's body has an almost indestructible hard skin that even Thor cannot damage. With the Hulk's body, neither bullets nor cannonballs can destroy him. This kind of power is not terrible. But this ability is more than sufficient for defense but insufficient for strength. Just having a strong defense is useless if it is not strong enough. Imagine how powerful Hulk is. But in the plot of Avengers 3, the purple potato demon Thanos can defeat the Hulk with a set of military fists without gloves. Hulk's defenses simply couldn't handle it. Of course, these are also related to the fact that the current Hulk is not angry enough. Hulk's power itself comes from his anger. The angrier he is, the stronger he becomes. It's just that Li Tae doesn't want to download his anger ability yet. And the super vibranium shield on his body can also do this. After ruling out these, Li Tae set his sights on Saul. After the plot of Avengers 1, Thor will temporarily leave the Earth. By that time, Li Tae would not be able to download Thor's power even if he had energy. He must seize the opportunity. Li, let's go down together. Iron Man's voice came. The elevator going down was already crowded with people, except Hulk. The elevator couldn't bear it at all. Good. Li Tae walked directly over, and there was Thor on the elevator. At this time, Loki's mouth had been sealed, and he could not speak at all. He had just been beaten violently by Li Tae, and he had no idea it was time to say something. In his eyes, Li Tae was a monster. Especially when Loki looked at Li Tae, he was very frightened. Li Tae stood in the elevator and walked to Thor's side. Thor, I'm sorry for being so harsh on your brother just now. You are brothers. You won't blame me, right? Li Tae stood next to Saul and patted Saul's shoulder with his hand. He is adopted. Thor once again stated that his relationship with Loki was not good. The person in the elevator smiled and said nothing more. At this time, Thor's message appeared in Li Tae's mind again. Name, Thor Odinson. Identity, Odin's eldest son, god of thunder. Abilities, God Ace's body, energy value, 5W lightning control, energy value, 5000 power of the gods, energy value, 3000 speed of the gods, energy value, 1500 longevity increase, 1000 GB heart of justice and purity, 1000 GB, Thor's hammer approval condition, Thor's hammer energy value, 20W. Every power of Thor is super powerful. especially the Thor's hammer in his hand, which has an energy value of up to 200,000. If he possesses Thor's hammer, Li Te will immediately be promoted to the most powerful superhero. But the energy value was too high, and Li Te had no idea for the time being. Therefore, Li Te prepared to download Soul's lightning control ability. This is what Li Te really wants. Having the ability to control lightning is a huge help. Especially in battle, the power of thunder and lightning can help Li Te kill enemies faster. It is equivalent to a replica of Thor. Without any hesitation, Li Te started downloading directly. Ding dong, connection successful. Ding dong, downloading the lightning control ability requires 5,000 energy points. Do you want to download it? With 5,000 energy points, Li Te suddenly became a pauper. Yes, no matter what, improving your own strength is the most important thing. Ding dong, download successful. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for mastering the ability to control lightning. With energy value, you can download it with one click, and there is no need to wait at all. The moment the system sound sounded, Li Te felt the changes in his body. Every cell in his body seemed to be transformed into thunder and lightning. It swept through the whole body instantly. This kind of power was something that Li Te had never experienced before. He had previously downloaded Black Widow's anti-aging gene and Captain America's super serum gene, and could feel obvious changes in his physical body. But this time it was different. Li Te could feel himself every cell is undergoing degeneration. Moreover, it is not an ordinary transformation. Every cell is emitting extremely strong electric current, from his internal organs to the outside. Every cell of Li Te, including the pores, is changing, emitting a thread of electric current. It's just that this electric current is so small that outsiders can't feel it at all. But if Li Te is willing, he can release real thunder and lightning. His thunder and lightning power is not ordinary thunder and lightning power, but a kind of thunder and lightning emanating from the heaven and earth. Both in terms of voltage and power, it is infinitely more powerful than ordinary current. Li Te could even feel that as long as he wanted to, he could immediately darken the entire sky and form powerful thunder and lightning. This kind of power is definitely beyond human power and is a real superpower. More than 5,000 energy points are definitely worth it. With such powerful assistance, his strength will increase exponentially. Ding dong. At this moment, the elevator reached the first floor. We plan to go out to celebrate after we finish handling the cosmic cube. Will you go? Iron Man invited Li Te to get together with them. From this aspect, Li Te became the same existence as them. This is what strength brings. If Li Te is just a small third-level agent, it will not be the same at all. It will be in the eyes of Iron Man and others. It was precisely because of Li Te's performance in this New York battle that Captain America and others recognized Li Te. No, I have some other things to do myself. Li Te returned, making Hawkeye and others slightly disappointed. However, they couldn't force Li Te. After greeting Li Te, they also left. Li Te looked at their leaving figures and prepared to return directly to where they were before. The Avengers base secretly established by S.H.I.E.L.D. He still has a lot of things to do. Are you Li Te? Bruce Little. But just when Li Te was about to leave, a voice came. It was a white man in a suit. Behind him, there were many 6th and 7th level agents. Li Te could tell at a glance that these were gods. People from the S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau. But Li Te has never seen any of these people before. Yes, Li Te looked at the leader with a hint of indifference on his face. The white man in the leader seemed to have been in a high position for a long time. Especially when he looked at Li Te, there was a kind of suspicion and disdain in his eyes. This Li Te knew that he was the former director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Alexander Pierce. At the same time, he was also a member of Hydra. When S.H.I.E.L.D. destroyed part of the Hydra organization, Hydra was incorporated and became a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. But these people remained stubborn and became double agents. On the surface, they were from S.H.I.E.L.D., but in fact they were from the Hydra organization. And Pierce is now the management of S.H.I.E.L.D. Although in S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau, the director has a lot of authority. But above the director, there is a management. This management can check and balance the director. Just like behind the president, there are members of Congress. We have seen your information, now come with me. Pierce didn't give Li Te a chance to speak, and was about to take Li Te away from here directly. But Li Tae, who just wanted to resist, quickly calmed down. In his heart, he had already thought of a secret plan. Jutu Snake, maybe you can use it. Soon after, Pierce took Li Tae to S.H.I.E.L.D. I know you belong to Fury, but this time the battle in New York has made the congressman very dissatisfied. You are very strong, and you may also have superpowers, but even so, you need a backer. After all, in Fury in his hands, there is the presence of Avengers. In the elevator, Pierce turned his back to Li Tae. His tone was indifferent and he told Li Tae something. Li Tae did not speak. He knew that there were many things about him that were controlled by S.H.I.E.L.D. Of course, he did not I don't mind. Because with his current ability, he is not afraid of S.H.I.E.L.D. at all. Moreover, Li Tae has already guessed what Pierce wants to do with him. You should know my identity. You can work for me in the future. As long as you want, the future director of S.H.I.E.L.D. can be yours. And with me here, your rights will not only be these in the future, but also, I can guarantee you safety. Pierce turned around, and beside him, more than a dozen 7th and 8th level agents were already surrounding him, looking at Li Tae. Although they were just agents, Li Tae was sure. These people were definitely special. Ability, otherwise, Pierce wouldn't dare to face him like this. The other party will only think of ways to deal with him after he has a full understanding of him. This is threatening him, but Pierce doesn't know it. Li Tae already knows it everything. And now he is not something these people can deal with. He has many trump cards in his hands. If they dare to take action, they have already predicted everything. It is difficult to use it in this small elevator, which makes Li Tae think the scene in Captain America 2. And Li Tae can be sure that Pierce came to him and was fully prepared. Even if he wins, he may be used. Hydra, die but not freeze. As long as S.H.I.E.L.D. exists, the Hydra organization will not disappear. Because S.H.I.E.L.D. has already formed the Avengers. If Hydra does not fight back, Hydra will only become more and more passive in the future. At this point, Hydra has foreshadowed the crisis. It was precisely because of his outstanding performance that he was noticed by S.H.I.E.L.D. executives soon, and even the people of Hydra also noticed him. For Li Tae, this is a good thing. So, have you considered serving me? Pierce had a smile on his face, as if everything was in his hands. Fury's authority was already large enough, and he had organized a group of Avengers. If he wanted to fight against these Avengers, he had to find other ways. And Li Tae is his primary target. Judging from the information he has, Li Tae is a person who will not completely obey S.H.I.E.L.D. It is precisely because of this that he will find Li Tae. Of course, if Li Tae does not obey their orders, they will not hesitate to take action. As for the crime, it is very simple for them. At this time, the eyes of dozens of people in the elevator are all on Li Tae. If they notice anything wrong, they would take action immediately. Li Tae slowly approached Pierce and spoke softly. Long live Hydra. When this sentence came out of Li Tae's mouth, everyone present was stunned. Even Pierce looked at Li Tae in surprise, a little confused. These are all Hydra people, but their identities are too mysterious. Only they know it, not even the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because these are people arranged by Pierce, their identities will not be noticed. Although there is Hydra outside organization, but none of those people knew that Hydra existed in S.H.I.E.L.D. And now, Li Tae said these words. His words are the communication slogan of Hydra. S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra, Snake's rivals, there is an irreconcilable conflict between them. Li Tae's previous performance has already demonstrated his strength. They wanted Li Tae to be one of their own, but when they said this, they didn't know why. An agent directly opened the elevator's tight closing system. After a brief moment of confusion, everyone pointed the finger at Li Tae. They are very careful, especially now that Li Tae knows their identities. Tell me, who are you? There was a hint of coldness in Pierce's eyes. He has been hiding in Hydra for so long and has never attracted anyone's attention. No one knows his identity. Unless he is a member of Hydra himself. But he can't help but be careful, because of the relationship too big. Mr. Pierce, as you know, there is only so much I can say. As for what you said to me before, you should know my attitude. The organization has its own considerations. Li Tae's expression was very relaxed, and he was not afraid of these people doing anything to them. These people have been able to hide in S.H.I.E.L.D. for so long, and none of them are fools. Hydra is extremely well organized, and they don't even know who they are. But it's also because of this that Hydra has existed for so long. Can I really trust you? Pierce said. In fact, he had begun to believe it, especially at this time. They had not revealed their identities before, but Li Tae still said this. This means that Li Tae has clearly understood their identity. In this case, Li Tae did not expose them, but revealed his identity. This already meant that Li Tae was from within their organization. But he still couldn't be careless, so he could only ask this question. Whether you believe it or not is your own business. As for whether you need my help or not, it depends on your own decision. There is only so much I can say. If I disappear for too long, I am afraid it will arouse suspicion. As he spoke, Li Tae pointed to the monitor on the elevator. At this moment, the agent also turned off the emergency device. The monitor on the elevator only has a video recording function and does not have a voice recording function. Moreover, this is Pierce's special elevator. He has the highest authority. I will give you a good identity in S.H.I.E.L.D. so that you are not restricted by Fury. Pierce said calmly. He wanted to make good use of Li Tae. We'll have another chance to meet again. After saying that, the elevator door opened directly. And Pierce and others did not stop Li Tae, because in their eyes, Li Tae was already one of their own. That Hydra slogan, not just anyone can shout out. Sir, I didn't expect that he would be one of our own. An agent said, and the others nodded one after another. I didn't expect it, but now that we have one more person, the next thing will be easier to handle. By the way, Rumlow, have you got the things? Pierce asked, and the Rumlow he was talking about was Crossbones. Already arrived and will be sent away soon. An agent replied. This gave Pierce a sigh of relief. He originally wanted to get the Cosmic Cube. But the Avengers were too powerful and Nick Fury's people were there, so he couldn't do it. Otherwise, he would definitely suffer. It was him. Then, everyone left, and it was time for Hydra to officially take action. On the other side, Li Tae, who had walked out of S.H.I.E.L.D., was about to return to the Avengers base. Pierce came to him because he wanted to serve Hydra. But Li Tae has seen through everything and has everything in his hands. Whether it is Hydra or S.H.I.E.L.D., they are all pawns in his hands. The reason why he agreed to Pierce is for the future plan. The most important point is that Hydra has been destroyed before, so many people don't know what happened. He can take advantage of this opportunity, so Hydra can't find anything yet. At this point, Li Tae he had already made his own considerations. Using Pierce, it was best to contact Hydra's secret base in Europe. Loki's scepter, the Mind Stone, would be placed there. Of course, Li Tae had no idea about the Mind Stone for the time being. But Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, he does have great ideas. Especially Scarlet Witch, who has powerful power, derived from the Mind Stone. It's just that Scarlet Witch hasn't exerted it yet. If he can reach that secret base, he can download it the abilities of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. With the Hydra line, he does not have to wait for the opening of Avengers 2. Instead, he can make arrangements in advance. This is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Originally in the comics, Quicksilver and Red Witch witches are all children of Magneto and are mutants. But these have nothing to do with Li Tae, he just needs to keep getting stronger. And not long after, Li Tae has returned to the Avengers base. The plot of Avengers 1 is over. What he has to do is to promote the development of the next plot. As for what those heroes will do and what dangers they encounter, Li Tae doesn't care because he doesn't have enough energy to download the abilities of those superheroes. The task given to me by the system is to kill the Mandarin and Dr. Killian within a month, but they haven't shown up yet, so there's no rush for now. In a room in the Avengers base, Li Tae murmured to himself. He was thinking about the overall situation, how to be more beneficial to himself. For example, killing the Mandarin in 1 month, that is to say, the plot of Iron Man 3 will be over within a month. He must prepare early. It's better to integrate your own abilities first. Li Tae took a deep breath. The end of Avengers 1 has brought him 2 major functions, the fusion of tasks and abilities. Among them, the fusion of abilities is what he is most looking forward to. He has many abilities, but now he can help his own, but not much. After fusion, he can transform into a more powerful ability. Then Li Te calmed down. This time, he wants to make a complete change. He now has many abilities, and there are many similar abilities. According to what Li Te knew before, the more similar abilities he fuses, the greater the fused ability will be. This is why Li Te left 600 energy points. Because he has the ability himself, the fusion ability time, the required energy value will not be too much. First, Li Te integrates the physical ability. The system selects similar capabilities that can be fused for fusion. Ding Dong, the power of regeneration, super serum gene, physical self-healing, hand strengthening, eye transformation, absorption ability, and pig iron body are all physical abilities and can be fused. The voice of the system came, making Li Te's eyes shine. Although these 5 similar abilities are different in details, they are all of the same kind. He is looking forward to what abilities he will gain through this fusion. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.